Hello and welcome to the Delusional Boyfriend Book Club, where if falling in love with a man who comes pearls is wrong, I don't want to be right. My name's Courtney and I'll be your host. And today I'm joined by Amy, who you might know as Lamey or Yaoi Girl. Hi, Amy.
Hi.
I'm so happy to have you here today. We are talking about Pearl Boy. This is our BL Manhwa of the month. And from what I can tell from your content, one of your favorites. Is that right?
Yes. It's been my favorite for a long time. Yeah.
It was so good. I've been withholding this for myself for a long time, and this year is our fandom favorites theme. So I tried to pick a bunch of BL that were like everybody's classic favorites, and Pearl Boy I knew had to be in here. It was really hard not to do as my January story, but I thought I would sprinkle it in mid-year, and I'm so stoked that you agreed to come on. Can you tell everybody where they can follow you? Lainey is one of my all-time favorite BL content creators, and you post I would say at least 5 TikToks a day, right?
Yeah. Usually 5 to 7 sometimes during the day if it's a large
And I
day or
feel like
not.
I feel like at least 2 of those are always recommendations, and then the rest will be like commentary, memes, jokes,
Yeah.
but so many recommendations on your page. So if you guys are looking for a BL creator who is constantly telling you exactly what the tropes are, exactly where to find the stories, you have to go follow Lamey. So it's at Yaoi Girl. Can you tell us what the handle
Yes.
is?
Yeah. YAOIGORL with V in front of it. So the Yaoi Girl. Yes.
Girl. And you can find Amy on Instagram and TikTok. And if I can work some magic, maybe in the future, a long form content somewhere, because I would love to listen to a podcast by the Yowie Girls. Thank you guys for being here and listening. Thank you, Amy, for
Of
being
course.
here. I want to jump into Pearl Boy, but first I want to know more about your Fujoshi lifespan, how you got into this niche genre.
I have been collecting manga for quite a while, and I had wanted to dive into a new area because I feel like I had collected so much of the same stuff. So I did some research to see what are some big areas of manga that I haven't heard of, and BL was something that came up in Google. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna look into that. So I went to the store and I bought way too much.
Were you always like an anime kid growing up, or did you just start reading
No,
manga before you even watched anime?
I read manga before I watched anime. I wasn't huge into anime until COVID. COVID was the time where I was like, I had so much time because I was doing hair. I literally was stuck at home for months. So I was like, okay, let's watch whatever Attack on Titan is. Let's watch all these things that I'm seeing on social media. So I went into it that way, but I had been reading way before that. I like I'm a collector at heart. So I was like, I'm going to collect books. So I was collecting books, which is why obviously my collection is the way it is now. But
And it's incredible. Your collection, your physical collection, your art collection is huge, but then also your online collection of all through apps like Legend, all of the official sites that you have invested in and cataloged and made content about is incredible. How many BL manhwa specifically do you think you've read?
that's a great question. I know that my Lezen library, my purchase history is 450 plus. So I know I've at least read that much on Lezen. Now, when it goes to that's obviously the app with the biggest library. All the other apps are relatively small in comparison. But I would say it'd be upwards of 500. I wouldn't say more than 1,000, but upwards of 500.
Between 500 and 1,000 is insane. And so when you say you've read those, do you buy a story and never sit on it? Or are you only purchasing what you're going to read immediately?
It truly depends on when I find out about the story. There's a lot of older stuff that I bought outright and then ended up going back
Mhm.
reading it because there was like a sale or whatever. But a majority of what I read are things that are like currently updating every day. So that's every morning I wake up and I open Lesson and I read however many stories updated that day. So that can be, some days are really low and it could be 3, but it could be 10. It really depends. So there are stories that I buy outright and there are stories that I just read weekly.
What is your favorite weekly release right now that you're reading?
It's such a hard question. It changes all the time, but it was Blossoms, but that ended today. So that's sad. But then since it's not Blossoms, it's probably Hounds right now. And Obviously, I love the Hounds of Sisyphus. I've loved it ever since it came out. I love 945. They're fucking amazing. And this is such an incredible difference from Dangerous Convenience Store. They are it's like Robert Pattinson, where you see him in Twilight and you're like, okay, work. But then you see him in The Lighthouse and you're like, what? This isn't the same fucking guy. That's how I feel about this. It's so many levels above the rest.
Hounds of Sisyphus is absolutely one of my favorite ongoings, and it is such a diversion from 945's usual style. And Odd Juicy from Dangerous Convenience Store is my top tier delusional boyfriend. That's usually the standard I come back to. And it is so funny to me that Guwon is such a different character, and they are both so top tier for me. They're so incredibly different. Her art style is different for them. Their personalities are different.
Yeah.
And I'm like, she just can't miss. Like,
Cannot
this
miss.
is the art style is incredible. I am so excited to cover that story. I want to wait till it has more episodes out so
Right.
that there's more to cover because there's so many twists and
Yeah.
turns and mysteries going on in that one. But speaking of all-time delusional boyfriends, who would yours be?
It's
Like,
so
of all, it could be BL, it could be anything. Who would yours be? I want to guess because I watched
guess,
of your content.
guess.
I want to say that it's Jake from Shetline, but then I don't want to say that because I see so much of your Pearl Boy, so much of your Shetline, so much of your Jinx content, and then I know that you're reading of 450 other stories that I've barely heard of. Like, will I even know who is it?
It's Guwon, which is why
No
it's
way.
so funny that you said what you said. Guwon is like
That-
he is my picture perfect character in a BL. He is. That's who he is.
May I just be so blunt? Are you a size queen? Is this all just because of that monster deck? What is
That's part of it. I feel like he is so unassuming. And I love that I've always been a diehard Guwon stan. There's not many of us out there who like he can do absolutely no wrong. I trust that man with my whole fucking heart. I love him. And I feel like there is something so compelling to me about a character who would do absolutely anything for the person that they love and would do the opposite to the people around him. You know what I mean? He's a danger to everyone else but the love of his life. And that's just him.
He is scary, and that is
I
part of
love
the fun,
that.
is that he's
Terrifying.
genuinely scary. And I feel like oftentimes when we get a character in BL who's a red flag or a black flag, if we're talking Low Tide and Twilight, they're often so beautiful that it's hard to remember what a black flag they are.
Yeah.
And then you get Guwon and Hounds, and he is so scary looking and scary acting. And then everything about him is mysterious and terrifying, and it is so compelling.
Yeah.
And just wanting him to be good to his man, and also being scared that you can't trust him, but you want to trust him. Also, Mr. A's Farm, I feel like you have made that a best-selling story by your own goddamn willpower. You've made everybody read it. You made me read it. I absolutely love it. Who's your delusional boyfriend from Mr. A's Farm? Is it Milton?
Milton.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
I'm
Milton.
Milton. I'm a Milton girly. And I've nearly gone to war for him on Twitter. I've held myself back, but I've almost been there, been in the front lines.
Your profile picture has been Milton. You are like,
Yeah.
do you think it's recency? Do you think it's recency bias with Hounds of Sisyphus, where it's just like one that's currently updating, so it's one you're thinking about? Or do you feel like
Guwon, ever since the first day I met him in the Lezen calendar, whenever the Lezen calendar of last year's launched, and I was like, who the fuck is that? I need whoever that is. I didn't even know who he was. And I was like, he is the one. And then obviously once I met him, I was like, yeah, no, that just reinstalls like why I was so attracted to him initially. You know what I mean?
and that artwork on Legend was him as like a cop or something?
Yeah, detective. Yeah. Oh my God.
So I was so confused when we got the story because I was expecting him to be a character like that. And I was like, how are they going to make this zombie a law enforcement agent? Just so fucking dense.
Yeah.
And then I started reading and I was like, certainly he is not. He's he's enforcing some kind of law.
Yeah, no, ever since then, I've loved him. I love him. Yeah. It's been like, I've been so diehard for him that when something bad happens in the story, people will go back on my old content and comment like, how do you feel now? I'm like, I still feel the same. It's you that you don't understand. I understand perfectly fine.
This didn't age well. Actually, it aged
It
fine. I stand
perfectly.
by my mute.
Y'all just don't know. You don't understand how unreliable a narrator teaches, and that's not on me. That's on you.
Legitimately, and I love the way that story is being told through somebody with memory loss.
Yeah,
And the story we're talking about today has some memory
sure
loss,
does.
and it's one of those tropes that like, can either kind of fuck up a story, or in the case of Hounds of Sisyphus, it makes it the whole premise
Yeah,
for what our plot is and our conflict is. If you can trust this man who's forgotten everything, what has he forgotten? Did he forgot something he did that defines who he is? Because those vibes are all around. And then other times in stories, amnesia is just thrown
right.
in so that we can excuse away something that was out of character. So I cannot wait for more updates on that story. Maybe you would come back on for Hounds of Sisyphus in the future.
I love Hounds of Sisyphus. I would love to talk about it, especially once I think so much is going to happen at the end of season 2. I've been brainstorming it. I've been waiting ever since the first episode. I was like, I know what's going to happen. So I'm excited to hash it out. You know,
I am such a binge reader that I have since season 2 came back out. I've been letting it marinate so that I can have my afternoon where I go through and I have that enjoyment. I do blame Jinx because when I got into the BL sphere, I got to binge that first 30 episodes of Jinx and I was like, oh, this
makes a
is
big difference.
it's such a difference with the pacing than when you have to go to week by week and you're waiting and you have so many questions. The chapters feel short and unsatisfying, but when you get to just power through a season, it's so nice. And that does bring me back to Pearl Boy because I just got to binge Pearl Boy, which is a story most people listening to this have probably heard of or already read because it is one of the classics. It's one of the highest grossing legend stories. It was released in 2020 and it went on for 4 years with a huge hiatus in the middle and nobody gave up on the story. So super popular and also a big difference on whether or not you were there at the beginning and you had to wait for those hiatuses to be over and see the progress go episode by episode, or if you got to read it years later and assume it all as one big chunk. So with that being said, I want to jump into our Pearl Boy. Our tropes for this story are going to be semi-love triangle, which usually steer away from anything love triangle-y, but the way this story does it with one of the people in that triangle being a clearly unwanted guest, one of the 3 people in this love triangle is forcing his way in and trying to ruin everything. That kind of love triangle I can get with. This is also going to be this is a very triggering story. So, like, trigger warnings up front. There's sexual assault, there's coercion, there's manipulation, there's definitely miscommunication if that's one of your triggers. And then back to tropes, it's going to be like extremely filthy and it is censored. But from the first panel, we get like sexually explicit content. So, if you're into something with a really high spice rating, this will be for you. I like that there's a touch of coworker romance in this, which is funny because it is a little bit supernatural. So there's a lot of elements of this story that don't fit real life, which would almost make it a fantasy. And then we get pulled back down to earth because our setting is a clam shop. And so I would say other tropes going on here are going to be a bit of a himbo and a black cat. Jooha, I wouldn't even call a black cat, but he is mysterious. He's shy. So we've got a very shy, introverted person and then a very extroverted, very confident person. Would you give any other tropes to this story? There's some rough sex, but most of the rough sex is kind of in the assaulty area. And then the rest is very enjoyable between our main characters. So yeah, what other tags would you give this story?
I feel like you gave a great overview of a lot of the things. I feel like obviously, like we had mentioned, memory loss. I feel like one of the major components to me is when I think about a really loving partner, I think of Dooshik. So like,
Green flag.
yes, even though there's
Yeah.
all these other harsh tags because that's just the type of world that we're in with these characters, the main couple is very promising. They're very sweet. They have the perfect chemistry. So,
And for 2 people who have lived a life that involves sex work, it's very wholesome.
Yeah.
Their relationship with each other is extremely understanding and extremely wholesome and supportive and accepting. And so I do totally agree with you. There's red flag stuff happening with this third person who makes himself a problem. There's also our main character who's a huge green flag doing red flag shit to other people who hurt his lover, which does not make him not a green flag. It just makes him a morally gray character. So I guess that's one we could throw in is morally gray. Like all over the story is morally gray.
Yeah, for sure.
And then we're gonna also have a gangster in debt trope here. So we're set in Korea, and we've got definitely some kind of skeezy underworld. I don't know. It's always so easy for me to say Yakuza, but it's not Yakuza when it's in Korea. So we've got the gangster trope happening here and an in-debt bottom. We also have an in-debt top. So it's very financially motivated, getting themselves into a better life. So that's our tropes for the story. Our main characters are going to be Dooshik and Jooha, and then our main villain is going to be Pilwan. Will you take us through Pearl Boy and give us our summary? We're going to talk about all the highs and lows. There's so many memorable moments from this story that I apologize if I start freaking out and going off on a tangent because, like I said, I just binged this. I have never had context for my TikToks about Pearl Boy. I just assumed I knew what was happening in the story. I assumed I knew who Pilwan was. I assumed a lot of things about Dooshik and Jooha that I got completely wrong. So I'm really, there's lots of stuff I'm excited to touch on as everybody else has been obsessing about this for years and I'm just getting on the bandwagon. But take us from our first meeting of our main characters and we'll go through the highs and lows of Pearl Boy.
Yeah. I'm glad you're finally on the train. It's a long time waiting. It's a great train to be on.
And to speak of trains, this one has quite a few happening, which Jesus Christ.
Yeah, there's so much that happens. So the story starts off with Dooshik. We see Dooshik. He has a troubled past as well. Like he's a character who is extremely complex. We see it opening sequence. He's being promiscuous. That's who he is at heart in the beginning of the story. That's who he is. So we see him come up to a man and this man rejects him. And that's earth shattering to Dooshik because Dooshik is the man. Everyone praises the ground that he walks on. He's beautiful. He is the top host. Once he's rejected, he has to move on. He has to find food. He's starving. He's also, like you mentioned, in debt. He's struggling, right? He walks into a clam shop. And obviously, we can all assume who's in the clam shop other than the Pearl Boy, Jooha. What happens is you meet Pilwan and immediately. Pilwan is the owner of this restaurant that Jooha works in. Okay.
And I will say that if you're following BL TikTok and you've seen pictures of Pilwan, this first episode, it was such a shock to try to get used to early art in Pearl Boy because it's so different. And when I was introduced to Pilwan, I was expecting this guy in an eye patch. And this first interaction with him, he's very basic looking character. And in the next few episodes, he gets a little bit more detailed. Mm-hmm. But it's so funny reading these first chapters of Pearl Boy because Jooha is pretty much in his final form. He'll have a little bit of a glow up, but Dooshik, who is having internal thoughts about how gorgeous he is also a little bit nerfed. He's just doing
the worst haircut. He has weird fucking piercings. He's skinny. He's all these things that are like not who you envision Dooshik to be at the end.
Exactly. And I feel like not only did the art work its way up to what was in the artist's head, but also there is this plot line of this character is hungry. He is on a random island off of Korea trying to dine and dash out of a restaurant and pick up John's, and he's down on his luck. So the idea that he gets more beautiful throughout time as he's eating better and has a job and has somebody to love, that makes sense. So I like that the glow up also follows this arc, but it was funny to me to be like, whoa, at the beginning, this is the Dooshik everyone's in love with. And then once I get into that third season, I was just like, yeah, this is the Dooshik. He is so fucking hot. But my big issue right from the get-go, once Pilwan got a little bit more detailed, I was like, why'd you do that? Why'd you make him so hot? Why did they make Pilwan so hot?
Yeah. That creator, she makes everyone hot. Everyone. Everyone.
Is she literally incapable of not? Because I was just like, it's going to be hard for me to hate this man who looks like an older version of Dooshik with blue eyes. It's just, he's very hot. So
Yeah.
we meet Pilwan initially, just like sending, like leaving Jooha and saying, you close up the restaurant and then make sure you take care of business after hours,
Right.
and insinuating that he has another shift he's going to have to pick up at the restaurant once everything's closed down. So that's when we first get our fishy whiffs of something bad going on here. And Dooshik has no idea what he's stumbling into when he just picks this restaurant of all restaurants to go in and try to steal from.
Oops. He really, I love that even in the narration, it's like, I had no idea what I was getting myself into, that type of vibe, which is true. I feel like in the beginning, Dushik, he's very carefree. After the restaurant closes, Dushik is seen pissing on a wall. He's relieving himself. He doesn't give a fuck, right? He's not the kind of guy who cares about that kind of shit. And what does he see? He sees all that dirty shit that's under that hood of
I
that restaurant.
I cannot imagine. First of all, my family, we're restaurant people, and it's such a tough business. It's so hard. And I cannot imagine seeing somebody try to dine and dash from my place and being like, honestly, I'll just cover your tab because I have to let the skeeziest guys in town run a train on me as soon as I close these doors. So
Right.
Juha is incredibly sympathetic to me right from the get-go. The way he handles Dushik and calls him on his bullshit immediately. You were trying to steal from the restaurant. Get the hell out of here. He is very direct for a bottom. In most stories, we're going to get this stereotypical passive character who lets everyone walk all over him. You would think he must be some kind of pushover, and he's not. From the very beginning, he is trying to assert what he wants, and he's trying to figure out a better solution for his life. But he does not let Dooshik walk all over him, even though he's twice his size. And I like that our bottom is a little bit older. He's a year older than him, and he is smarter. The bottom is smarter. He is more experienced, which is weird because Dooshik is coming from a very similar host club background, but nobody has the life experience that Juha has. And he is really mature beyond his years. He knows a lot about the world. And instead of being bitter, he still maintains this kind of hope that he can make it better. And I was so surprised because I really thought that he was going to be this stereotypical character. And from the beginning of the story to the end of the story, I was blown away by Juha. I was like, this guy is standing on business. Even though everyone's fucking him over and using him, he is still trying to keep his chin up. I think he does get some debt paid back to him by like Unwoo, his ex-boyfriend. And he's okay, I should just go give that guy who had to pay my bill, I'll just go pay him back. And then when he gets there and he sees this assault happening to him, there's several men assaulting him. He thinks to himself, oh my God, there's somebody in this world who has it worse than I do. Like, we get this crazy character arc. And I think it is really revealing that he sincerely doesn't care about anybody. He cares about nobody but himself. And we do learn that he's on this island because an ex screwed him over. So he's a little bit jaded at this point. But I love the juxtaposition of him at the beginning of this story, not giving a fuck about anybody, and then so quickly wanting somebody to take care of and wanting somebody to take care of him. And he's a stupid himbo, and he does need somebody to give all of his love to. He has too much love to give. And this point in the story where he doesn't recognize the person being hurt in front of him is a man he's about to burn the whole world for is fun to look back on, because you're just like, yeah, you had no fucking idea that you had probably already fallen for this man who you think you don't give a damn about.
Yeah.
So he starts to get his own work on the beachside town, and he is so stupid, and they call him a city hillbilly, which is really funny to me because it just goes to point out people in the city have fewer experiences and certain different life knowledge than those in the country. And so when he gets his first job on this island town, he is digging up clams, and he's digging up clams in a mud flat, which is something I've never, obviously I'm from Montana. I live in a landlocked state. Like I have no idea about clams, and I have no idea about pearls. So I felt much like the hillbilly Dooshik does, where he is just digging around for clams, trying to make $1. And the ladies who he's working with are just like, yeah, you can make more by the bucket if you find more clams. And then one of his clams has a pearl in it, and it's his first time ever seeing a pearl, and he's just like, what is this? And they all tell him, oh my God, for a bad pearl you could get 100,000 Korean dollars. Make sure you hold on to that. See if you can find any more. And he immediately starts going around digging for clams in the beach when the high tide comes in. And who but the guy who he saw being assaulted, who he didn't do anything to help, is sitting on the shore watching. Nobody else is going to help him as he starts drowning in this mud flat until Jooha realizes what's going on. And he's, if someone doesn't save that guy, he's going to die. So he jumps in after him. This man has enough problems to worry about without saving some himbo drowning out off the shore. And yet he still jumps in to save him. And that's our real meet cute after the whole dine and dash incident. This is where Dooshik is drowning and starts to see this like angel diving in for him. And then he wakes up in Juha's apartment and he saved him from drowning. And he is going to let him have a meal and have some water before he gets better. Before he shows him the door, he's going to make sure he's okay. And I really, again, I love that about Jooha, that he has this responsibility to him and this grownness. He's 26 years old, 25, 26, and Dooshik's like her. And Jooha is just not going to let the world fuck over people around him the way it's fucked him over. He's going to do something if he can to help others. And so this moment where he does that for Dooshik is really, I think, sets the groundwork for Dooshik realizing that caring for somebody other than yourself, making somebody else your priority instead of just your own well-being your priority, can be really worthwhile. It could lead to somebody saving your life, and it could lead to somebody helping you back. And so I really like that meet cute. And I like that we get to flash back to it later in the story and see Dooshik's perspective, that this angel dived down to save him. I just thought it was so cute.
Yeah, I feel like that sequence of events is returned to so many times every time Dooshik is in the water. We relive those moments, and she does a great job of flashing back to a lot of important bits through both characters. And I absolutely love that, because that was a very monumental point. And then obviously, once he gets this little sense of, oh, I'm fed, can I stay here? No, get the fuck out. You're not staying here. We're not doing that. So what is he going to do? What is he going to do? So he's got to find a job, right?
And it just so happens that the Clam Shack is hiring. And I love that Jooha is living in this apartment that he used to live in with his mother, and he's protective of it. This restaurant we find out used to be his mother's. This apartment we found out used to be his mother's. And he's not going to let some man charm him into staying there. He is, get out of my space. I have very few things that are my own, and I'm going to protect them. And those are my boundaries. And I was just like, this man fucking gets it. And in fact, we see them come back together, and instead of Jooha being the one used by Dooshik, because Dooshik keeps trying to, can I stay the night? Can I get a freebie? Can I get a handout? Whatever. He's trying to be a leech, and Jooha won't let him. And then when it's finally time for one of them to use the other, it's Jooha who uses Dooshik. Mm-hmm. So Dooshik gets a job at the Clam Shack, and he, honestly, horrible worker. I would never hire him at my restaurant. He's a complete nuisance. And on his first day, before he's even hired, he goes in and starts berating and assaulting the customers who are waiting for Jooha's after hours services. So before he even means to, he gets in the way and starts protecting his man, which I just love. He was destined to be there to fix everything. Oh, I just love the time.
That's something I absolutely love about Dooshik, because he also will do that for a majority of people. Like when he sees someone who's being dogged on, he's like, I'm stepping the fuck in. Like we see that several times. We see that at the club. We see it here. One-handed too. He's going to dominate the situation and make sure people know their place. And it's remarkable, because there are several times where Jooha pushes him away, no, or he leaves, no, and then Dooshik will follow behind just to make sure, or Dooshik will show up and somehow be able to save the day. And that happens a lot in the early stages of the story with those specific men. All of Pillwan, the people are going to help make Pillwan money. The people that are going to come to the after hours restaurant.
It's lovely to me that Jooha, even though he is in his unfortunate circumstances, we get moments throughout the story where he starts to show that he has that exact same instinct. He saves Dooshik from drowning. He saves a woman from being assaulted. In a lot of ways, these two are so equal. And I think that's a reason a lot of people love BL, is because they find that those characters can be on more equal footing without this patriarchal privilege being given to the male character. And I like that in this story, regardless of the fact that we have a more feminized bottom, he's still given the opportunities to man up and be like a hero for people in a way that's usually reserved for the male lead in a hetero story. And in this case, we get both of our characters being that hero. Both of them get their moments of glory where they show that they have this moral compass that deserves recognition and deserves a story to be written about them. They deserve a happy ending because they are truly good people. And this all starts with this restaurant where the new owner has, we find out, taken advantage of Jooha's mother in a way, bought her debt, and then not only defiled her and made her a sexual toy of his, defiled her son and made her son a sexual toy of his, but also has taken over ownership of the restaurant in order to hold that over her head. So this is whole restaurant, while it seems like Jooha is happy working there, he's trapped there. And not only because he owes Pawon money, but because he has this obligation to do right by his mother's memory. So Dooshik jumps in to get hired for a low salary rate.
Real low.
Having no idea, real low. And he has no idea. He's just like, I can make minimum wage here, or I can go back and drown on the mud flats. So I guess I'll give this a try. And he immediately gets in an altercation with somebody who is trying to feel up Jooha. And Pawon is watching this, letting Jooha get felt up. There's other customers coming in. You're, as a reader, you're just like, what are we doing? Are we running a business here? Are we running a train? Because we haven't even closed the door yet. Other characters flood in who just want to eat at the restaurant. Dooshik causes this fight and starts the beef with some of our regulars who we come to learn have been milking Jooha after hours because, much like the pearls on the mud flats, Jooha also has pearls. And this is such a wacky concept for a story. And it's one that especially when I first started reading BL, I was just like, how do I approach this premise of just a man coming pearls?
Yeah.
What is the premise of what is that? And then the more BL you read, the more you get used to these semi-fantasy, semi-sci-fi elements like the Omegaverse, where you're just like, I actually can suspend my disbelief at all times now.
Yeah.
If you want to tell me that he comes pearls, if you want to tell me he comes daggers, I would just buy that he comes daggers. If you tell me it doesn't hurt, it doesn't hurt. And that's what we learn is that Jooha ejaculates pearls more when he is more aroused, less when he is in pain or not having a good time. And they're less valuable, it seems, when he is being assaulted. Even if he does produce pearls, they're not as shiny or vibrant. And then the pearls that he produces on his own or with a more loving partner are more valuable and more beautiful. And so when Dooshik realizes that Pawon is using Jooha and these disgusting customers, they're like the characters. This artist made them really horrific to look at. When he realizes that Jooha's been being attacked by these people and used, I don't know you, buddy, but next time one of them wants to hurt you, get a pair of scissors, snip it off. You're not going to keep taking this. I barely know you, but I have to say, fight back next time. And Jooha's, yeah, you're fucking right. Why am I not getting violent? I want to kill these people and I want to kill Pawon. And that is when he starts to get this kind of confidence. The Dooshik's confidence starts to rub off on him a little. And he starts grabbing those scissors. And one day he leaves the shop and he's knows that these men could be following him who are pissed off, and he turns around to slash at someone following him, and it's Dooshik. And this is where we start to realize how fucked up Dooshik is. He doesn't realize he's been cut. He doesn't really feel pain. He's not bothered by it until he sees his own face, and he's mostly just, oh, good for you, Jooha. You defended yourself. I'm proud of you. And then he sees his own face, and it's not the pain or scariness of the situation. It's just his vanity that takes over. And he's like, what do you mean my beautiful face, my money maker, is going to be scarred? So Jooha feels a little bit bad for hurting him and takes him back and does a little bit of first aid. And is this our first instance of Jooha realizing that he could jerk off all day at home and come up with a couple pearls, or he could find a man who does it for him and he can pay Pawon back with his pearls, but they don't have to be forcibly extracted from him by strange men. He could get them on his own from somebody he finds attractive. So cleans up Dushik's little wounds. And again, I just love that this character is smart. Jooha is smart and he knows what ointment to use. He knows to treat the wound fast. Dushik is just like so stupid. And I love that about Dooshik because he's supposed to be stupid. He is not, does not have an education. He's got a juvenile detention background. And from this point, every good decision that happens is Jooha making sure that Dooshik doesn't just like, fucking pop off randomly. There was a point in season 2 where Dooshik gets hit by a car and he's standing in the highway. And I was just like, no, he would be standing in the highway. That's not convenient. That's just true to character. That's where he would be standing. So Jooha does his little first aid and then gets that moment where I could make a move on this man and I could get my pearls and he wouldn't even know the better of the fact that I am using him. And he kind of convinces himself that he's using him, even though we can all see the ba-dum-ba-dum-ba-dumps
Yeah.
and the artistic elements that show us that he really likes this guy. So he sneaks a little kiss and he's let's initiate something here. So Dooshik's the first one to make the first move, which again is just like so unusual for a bottom. And I really loved the agency of this character in this moment.
Yeah, it was really powerful. I love that you know that Jooha's supposed to go back to the restaurant, right? So I gotta make pearls somehow. I don't want to go back to the restaurant. I'm here with this guy who's a good fucking guy. Yeah, he's vain and he's fucking weird. He's dumb, but this could work. We can do something here. And
maybe for the first time, if I don't show up on time and Pilwan's mad at me, I kind of got this guy who's bigger than Pilwan. Maybe I have backup now. Maybe I could take a chance and piss Pilwan off for the first time in a long time. I could do something that isn't what he told me to do and maybe have someone on my side and in my corner who could go toe to toe with Pilwan. So I really love that moment where he's, okay, no, I am not alone. I don't have to be alone. I can gather my own resources here. It's very resourceful of him. And he also has not told Dooshik what his body does.
No,
so
he has he has no idea until they come out and he's, what are these? I'll explain later. Oh my God. I love that. I absolutely love that. And Dooshik's just like, yeah, all right, explain it later. I don't care. It's like,
he's just, are these beads? Yes, I'm a bead collector. That is the whole story.
My hobby.
He's all right. Let me help you collect some beads. We can fill the whole closet with beads. And it's just like, Dooshik, you're so stupid. You're so stupid. And also, thank you for not asking too many questions because this man just deserved to get his rocks off. He did not need the 3rd degree from you. I'm glad you didn't even notice.
Right.
And also, the idea when he is about to jizz everywhere and there's just like a bead rolling around in the top. I'm just like, it's like one of those perfume rollers. That's what it looks like.
Yep.
And I'm like, just the dynamics of that is very interesting to me. It felt like the first time I read about beads in Yakuza Member and the gangsters in Korea and in Japan will put beads under their fucking dick skin.
Beading and curling. We got all that stuff.
Beading, yeah. And I was like, this is the first time I've ever heard of that. And it's the first kind of body modification where it adds this element of pleasure. I guess it's also akin to when I first read about like a Jacob's ladder. And I was like, oh, wait, what would that feel like? And this idea of Jooha having, the author says it doesn't hurt, but I'm like, okay, but does it enhance? Is there more to that? Because I don't know. I feel like it could be interesting to have a different thing going on in there.
Especially considering toward the end, we see Dooshik in the sides. He pushes a pearl in. It's like, we know that it feels like, it's not like his urethra's numb. So
we also see a moment where where our poor baby Jooha is being assaulted and somebody puts a sounding rod in there. And I was just like, I think that he probably has a little extra clearance for those items because he is used to a foreign object being up in there.
Right.
So very interesting dynamic and one that I feel is original to this story and other people haven't tried. And this author was like really frank about it in their creator's note. They're like, I did not think this was a story that would be greenlit. I had an idea about somebody coming pearls. I sat on it for 8 years. It gathered dust. And when I was desperate looking for a story to pitch to someone, that is where it came back to. Like, the pearl boy, like the guy who comes pearls. And I'm like, yeah, that is an inside thought that most people keep inside and they would think this is a literal flop idea. And I love when those inside thoughts come out. And then everybody resoundingly, the audience was like, yes, we are so here for this. This is one of those inside thoughts. You must make an outside thought because the world is depending on your originality.
Yes.
So, such a fun first time for those two. The art is censored, but I feel like it's so in other ways, including when we see the pearls fall over all over the floor and you get this very clear idea of how much they're enjoying themselves.
Yeah, I feel like that's one of my favorite bits is I took so many screenshots of all of these. She would pan out to seeing them just like, sprawled out with all this glitter around them. And that's just they had a good time. Jooha felt good. And it's amazing. So we see that in that encounter, Dooshik takes a pearl, right?
Yeah.
And a bead, whatever this man thinks they are, he takes it to an appraiser. We're gonna see what this is. What is it worth? And we find out that shit is worth bank, right? Everything's clicking. It's making sense.
And he saw them spill all over the floor and he wasn't even trying to steal from this man. He just wanted to know what was actually going on. So then he starts to figure out okay, this one is of good quality. We could make them of even better quality. And I would get to do that by fucking somebody I think is absolutely gorgeous. And he's very clearly attracted to Jooha. Unlike the first Johnny tries to pick up on the beach who rejects him, he is not interested in that man. He's just trying to make a dime. Jooha, he is interested in. The fact that they might be able to make a dime together is just barely registering with Dooshik. And it's not so much like, how can I take advantage of this man? It's like, what have I just stumbled upon? This beautiful creature who is also pissing money. Literally what's going on. So really, again, another moment of naivete from Jooha or from Dooshik where he's just, all right, I think I understand the situation I am in. And he has not even a clue how intense things are about to get. It's not just the pearls. It's everything connected to the pearls. It's Pilwan. It's everyone else who wants the pearls. It's all these men waiting in the forest to get at Jooha. It's people in the town who call him a clam and angry wives who know that their husbands are going out for clams at night and helping this man make pearls. It is much bigger than Dooshik realizes when he's first picking up these beads.
And I feel like it's something so important to think back on. There are so many bits and pieces of the story that, like we said before, that point back to something bigger. So we see these moments where Dooshik is getting us appraised. So that is important, is going to come back. We see obviously these very important points are going to be used against him. There's a lot that is used against him and against them to manipulate Jooha into doing what Pilwan wants him to do, which is
and
cyclical theme.
It's very interesting because I thought it was just an accident that the artist made these characters look similar. But by the end of season 3, you're realizing this is no accident. There is a monster in the background. Dooshik might look like, he's going to the appraiser. Maybe he could use whatever those notes are of suspicion that we have against Dooshik. Pilwan is going to take those. He is the real villain. He is the person who we should all actually be suspicious of. And he's going to he projects so much onto Dooshik. He wants Dooshik to be a villain because if he can make Jooha think that Dooshik is just as bad as him, if Pilwan can bring Dooshik down to his level, then why would Jooha ever leave Pilwan? If your options are garbage and garbage, you're just going to stick with the devil. So that's when we meet Pilwan and see him as this owner, and then get some behind the scenes where Pilwan is watching basically from a cuck chair as all of these men and rape Jooha. We see he's a voyeur. He likes to watch. Jooha says, you like to watch and you like to watch me in pain. That's why you're doing this. And you're obsessed with me. You're so obsessed with me, and me leaving you is what you're actually afraid of, not me not paying back the money that I owe you. So he's already clocked Pilwan. He knows who Pilwan is, and Pilwan now is going to start getting desperate because if this man can pay off his debt in a way that isn't reliant on Pilwan, he will. And then he'll be out of his grip forever. And we see a weird rare fish that Pilwan has collected. It's the only one in the world. And it's very clearly this parallel to Jooha and how he wants to be the only reason that a rare, beautiful creature can live. And it's up to him if he chooses to change the water, he chooses to let the fish die. If Jooha is going to survive and is going to live, it will be based on Pilwan's fucking willpower. It will be if he decides or not that Jooha can live. And so this agency and this power grab that Jooha takes by getting Dooshik on his side and saying, I don't fucking need you anymore, Pilwan. It's the beginning of Pilwan's downfall. He starts to fucking unravel and get desperate to use any little scrap of evidence against Dooshik that he can. And one of those is going to be this security camera footage of him going to the appraiser. And he doesn't even cash the pearl in. He keeps it with him as a good luck charm.
Yeah.
And Pilwan ends up waving this in Jooha's face to be like, all men are bad. You're not going to get better just because you leave me. You might as well stick around and stick to the program, kid.
It's like this man, Dooshik, never sells a pearl. At the end of the story, he has the container of pearls that they've made. He doesn't care about the pearls. The pearls are inconsequential to him, right?
Yep.
And that you just can't say the same for Pilwan.
There's even a scene where Pilwan finds them together and sees all the pearls that they made, and he throws them all down the toilet because he wants to keep Jooha in debt to him. So he doesn't want the payment, he wants the debt. Then there's a parallel scene where Dooshik throws some pearls into the ocean, very symbolically going.
That's one of my favorite scenes because it's so beautiful because Jooha, what are you doing? That's all he's ever, his pearls are his money. It's what people want from him, right?
It's his self-worth.
And Dooshik is proving to him, these mean fucking nothing. We will fill the city of Seoul with pearls. I will make you, we will make so fucking much. Do you want to just go make more right now? It doesn't matter to me.
It's such a beautiful parallel where you have these characters who look similar and who could resort to similar means to be the top dog. And instead, one becomes completely corrupted, completely evil, and the other one chooses time and time again to be a human and to choose love over greed and to choose a connection with another person over stepping on their fingers to get above them, even though other people have treated Dooshik like this in the past. So he himself has been completely scammed out of all of his money from an ex-lover. He is down bad, has no resources, and still he's not willing to let Jooha make this comparison from his self-worth to his pearls. You are my beloved because of who you are, not because of what you produce. And that will come back again at the end in a way that really broke my heart. But this idea that Jooha making pearls makes sense because pretty things would make pretty things, and not because he's won the lottery and just found his cash cow. It's such a very beautiful insight into Dooshik's heart, which is that he's not greedy. And his boss, he ends up working for a mob boss who even says that about him. He doesn't have a greedy bone in his body. The only thing he's greedy for is Jooha's hole. He wants up in there, but he'll do whatever it takes for them to live a life together. He'll slave away. He will never be greedy for Jooha to make him money, which everybody else has been very eager to turn him into an object and into a money producing thing, including Pilwan. Jooha has a freak out at Pilwan in his younger days and says, leave me and my mom alone. And at that point, Pilwan sells Jooha's debt to a pornographer and is now you're a sex slave to this pornographer. So so many people have capitalized on Jooha and the fact that Dooshik wouldn't consider it for even a moment. He would rather carry those little pearls around in his hands like little fidget toys than carry around the money from them is just so beautiful.
And the way that he insists on making sure Jooha knows his actual worth, his legitimate worth, that no one owns him, even though technically there are these people, right? There's Pilwan, there's the twins. There are people that own his debt, but he has agency, like you said. And Dooshik is trying so hard to instill that in him. He's being completely selfless in these manners. And Jooha is slowly beginning to understand that. But there are hiccups along the way, right? Pilwan is a master manipulator. He knows how to manipulate Jooha in the most catastrophic ways. At one point, after hitting Dooshik with a car and manipulating Jooha, because obviously the pearls are gone, they're down the toilet. Dooshik's gone because he was hit by a fucking car. And Pilwan is sitting there and he's, listen to this. Dooshik is saying all these things like he's using you. You're a fool. You're a fool. And what did I tell you? You can never get rid of me. Once he realizes all these things, it's tearing his mind apart continuously. And it's horrifically sad. But Dooshik is strong. We can't forget that. And that the time of heart,
unkillable. Like literally,
he's got a million lives. He has got a million fucking lives. That dude breaks out so fast. As soon as he wakes up and he's fucking Pilwan, bro. Oh my God. He's able to get out real fucking fast, which I love that for him. And that's something that continues as well. He is literally unkillable. Unkillable.
He's unkillable. And another character who's unkillable is the twins, which we have to introduce here. We mentioned unkillable and we mentioned the twins. So we have Dooshik almost going back on the one thing he's always said in his life, which was, I will not be a gangster, because his own father was a gangster. And he's like, I'd rather do sex work. I'd rather do anything than be a gangster. But when he realizes that he has this other person who he's falling for, who he might have to support, and he might need to help get out of his bad situation, he realizes that there is no line. There's nothing he wouldn't do for that man. So he's, you know what, Jooha, so that you don't have to continuously sink to levels beneath you, I will do a little bit of gangster work so that we can have a future. And he doesn't really come out and be honest with Jooha about that because he's afraid that it will make him look like Pilwan. And he does align himself with a character who owns a host club, who he has known for a long time, who he used to work for, and he gets back in with that company, but instead of as a host, this time he is getting in as a security guard or a thug. And we meet some other characters who are working in this like very dark underground society and industry, and that is the twins. And the twins, okay, when I first saw the two different colored eyes twin, and he has short hair when you first meet him, I didn't know that was the twins everyone was talking about. So I was like, who's this man? He's so hot. But who's this side character? I didn't know he's one of the evil twins the incestuous evil twins everybody's always obsessing and drooling over, which for me also very difficult because I was immediately attracted to this man. And one of my hard like icks is twins because I have twin little sisters and I'm just like, oh. And then sometimes you have a story that kind of gets past your icks and your normal triggers don't apply anymore.
And she didn't expect it to work either. She was like, I didn't expect y'all to eat this shit up. I thought this wouldn't work. But
it only works because they're evil.
Yeah.
They're totally evil.
Yeah.
So
it makes sense for them.
It makes sense for them. And we're not supposed to like them. So whatever they do in their own time is like, we're already assuming that they're bad guys. So like we can let it fly, even if it's horrifying. And it does allow for this like taboo thing that we're usually not allowed to read about or be interested in. It presents itself in like, all right, this is something that you might enjoy in a fictional setting where they're villains and you can hate them and you can also still root for them as a couple. It's so creepy and it would not fly in real life. And that's why we seek it out in fiction, because it's something so different from what our normal standards and moral compass and societal measurements are. We're so used to thinking the same things all the time that fiction asks us this question of, are you able to think outside of the normal realms of reality and immerse yourself in this world? And this world is horrifying. It is mysterious. And the twins are both horrifying and mysterious. And they are part of this cabal that the club owner is running. And we find out that he has aligned himself with the pornography business. And that's where the twins are coming from, right? And then they actually work for a different mob boss who Dooshik is tasked with going out and capturing, right?
Yeah, the crossover between all of these worlds with the twins is crazy because literally every single character touches the twins. Dooshik's ex touches the twins. Obviously, Jooha touches. Pilwan touches the twins. Literally, there are so many moving parts with them specifically that And you know what's funny? Because I read this so long ago for the first time. And at that moment, I was like, when you're reading it weekly, it's hard to pick up on all these tiny connections that you see along the way. When you binge it, I'm like, oh my God, this is like, this is crazy. Literally, they're at the epicenter of this horrific trauma and a major part of Dooshik himself.
And the author points back there is this long hiatus, and the author is like, no, I always meant for the twins to come back. That's why I introduced them in this first season. It was just hard for me to, like, I got lost in the sauce, and it was hard for me to tie up all the loose ends that I wanted to tie up until I got this second wind. And so there's a strange, what is it, right after season 2, where we have this very long hiatus, and it's one of several kidnapping plot lines where Dooshik is being kidnapped by Pelwan. Jooha is being manipulated to believe that Dooshik left him on purpose. There's a lot of shit going on. And when Dooshik finally gets Jooha back, they move to Seoul together, and then Jooha runs away from him. So then we have this runaway
3 month time skip of them being apart, but us seeing, to me, this is what I want when characters spend time apart, is Jooha living a good life during this time. You see him, he has a job, he has friends.
Moving on.
He's doing, and he's comfortable enough with this that when Dooshik, who's grinding his ass off to find Jooha, he's picking up all these fucking awful jobs, but he's doing the bare minimum.
Selling his soul.
He's
anything you want. If you tell me where he is, I'll give you the rest of my life.
Yeah, I will do it, but also I'm gonna do the bare fucking minimum, because all I'm doing is here to fight. If you don't have fucking word on Jooha, I'm not doing any extra shit. That's on you. That's on you. That's on you. And then as soon as this man finds out where Jooha is, you better believe he is on his way to go get his man. And what I love so much is you see right before he finds him, you get a scene of Jooha in his little cramped, rundown apartment, and he's thinking of Dooshik. He has the shirt, he's smelling it, and he's experiencing pleasure in an imaginary world where Dooshik is there with him still. And he's yearning for Dooshik. And little did he know that literally the next morning, Dooshik's gonna be there.
And the depression room that Jooha had tried to convince himself he was okay, and then you look around at his surroundings and he's living in filth. And he's clearly like just surviving because he's on enough meds to numb him out. And the first thing Dooshik does is not wake him up and yell at him for leaving him. The first thing he does is clean his entire apartment.
He cleans the
broke down. Has anyone ever cleaned a depression room for you? This is the utmost of caring for somebody else. When you see like the skeletons in their closet, when you see the like true depths of their depression, and you're like, no, I can help you. You might have dug this hole yourself, and you will not have to pull yourself out. I will reach down and I will grab you out of there.
This is something that I want to drive home. This is why I have such high standards for these BL men, because you see him, he does this for Jooha because he loves him, because he cares. He did all this to find him. He sees him in this state. He's sad for him. He's not disgusted. He's not like, oh my God, how could you fucking live like this? It's pity, it's sorrow, it's horror, really. And then characters like Jake Young, where when you see the boy in squalor, you're like, ew. God, can't believe you fucking live like this. That's crazy. But it's like,
that's such a great comparison, because I have made excuses for Jake Young that he wanted so badly to pull himself out of that squalor that seeing somebody else not pull themselves out of it is disgusting to him, whatever. But Dooshik he shows that is a choice. That's a choice to not be empathetic towards somebody who you can see is in a position you've been familiar with. And so Dooshik he's lived in juvie. He has been fucked over. He's been beaten down, and he's not going to sit there and act like he's better than Jooha. In fact, he's going to say, I recognize this. I see this because I'm a human too. I've been through this. And if only I had somebody who loved me the way I love you, and I'm not letting you get away, because one day it's going to be my time to be depressed and you're going to have to pull me out of it. And we see these two do this for each other time and time again. It's not always the stronger character or the older character pulling, or the top pulling the other one out of sorrow. It's both of them like
Constantly.
recognizing.
They're both giving and taking. It's really beautiful. And I applaud this author for that. No matter how much trauma either of them have gone through, they're both still good people at their core and genuinely want better for each other and just question. There's a specific point that's very notable for me. It's when Dooshik is in the hospital later down the road and he's just who would want to do this to such a pretty thing? I just don't, I don't understand. I don't know why. You've never done anything wrong. You're perfect. And it's true. And it's like it's just, you have so much empathy for both of them throughout the entire thing that you just keep circling back to these moments like what we're talking about right now.
And any moments of like, miscommunication, which usually pisses me right the fuck off, is one of the characters trying to save the other one some sorrow. And you and I, it's very funny to me. We're almost the exact same age. We're a month apart. I met my husband when I was 18. Did you meet your husband when you were 15?
So when we started dating, I was 14. Yeah, 14.
And being in the romance space where we're like constantly, both of us have like found our soulmate very young and then immersing ourselves in this romance space so you can continue that kind of like honeymoon feeling where you're constantly in love. Once you've been in a relationship for years and years, sometimes that, oh, I want that feeling of just falling in love. That can be hard to tap into, and romance really gets that right. But what this story gets right is this idea that after the honeymoon phase, when you've seen what the other one is working with and that they are just as broken as you are inside, and that neither one of you knows your place in this universe, and it's going to take a lot of strife and a lot of figuring that out, and you decide to support each other through every phase of that life, through every change, through every move, through every personality disorder or memory loss or fucking whatever comes for you, that is true romance. And this story does not shy away from that, where one of the characters is just like, I think your life would be easier without me. Why don't you just move on and do this without me, because I wouldn't bring you so much heartbreak. And it's no, being there for your heartbreaks, being there for you when you hurt and when life is getting you down and I can help you, that is my purpose. And the fact that you will be there for all of my hard moments is a huge bonus, but I would be there for you regardless. Regardless, I want to be there every step of the way that you find yourself or lose yourself or change or pick a new path. And this story, it's weird to me that there's this huge hiatus in the middle, because when you binge it, it feels very cohesive.
Yep.
But there is this point around season 2 where you can see the author trying to grapple with how these characters met and where she wants them to end up. She wants them to have this really believable, happy ending. And how, when you've created such a grimy world where everyone is out to get our main characters, how do you give them this happy ending? And it does come with a few major action sequences where somebody is shot or ends up in the hospital or is kidnapped. And I sometimes that those kind of plot points will annoy me, because it's just like, oh my gosh, this is so unbelievable and dramatic. You're just throwing in these random things. But I think the author was really trying to show us, no, these characters, I want to bring them low so that you can see how they'll never give up on each other, how they will continuously see an easier path, an easier life where they could just skip out and ditch, and they're not gonna. They will never just skip out and ditch. And so our main villain, Pilwan, he continuously tries to get between these two, so much so that, again, he brings up this plea that he has. It's hard to even call it, what do they call it? Sexual assault material or something like that, because it's not pornography if you don't agree to it. And this is something that Pilwan is trying to use again to leverage against Jooha. And Jooha, knowing all of these things about his past that they could come up, he wants to save Dooshik from some kind of humiliation. And Dooshik's, listen, buddy, I've got no pride and no ego. I will lay my life down for you. I will embarrass myself for you. I will get killed for you. I'll get shot for you. I don't care what it is. There's nothing that could scare me away. You could push me away and say, get the fuck out of your face as many times as you want, and I'm going to be sitting right next to you. And it's not in an abusive way. It's in a way where he's just, I see what you're doing. I know you don't want me to leave. I know that you're afraid, and I will just sit here and be afraid with you about what comes next, but I'm not going to leave. And that is that Dooshik, I did not expect to like him this much because I thought he was, I don't know, I thought everyone liked him just because it's one of those classic stories. I didn't realize everyone liked him because he is actually the template
Yeah.
for a green flag.
Yeah. No, he's, and I say this frequently, like I love crybaby tops. I love men who are in touch with their emotions. And that is exactly what Dooshik is. He's not ashamed to show emotion when he does. He'll break the fuck down. When he'll make sure that he's true and honest to himself, but in a way that's not a detriment to the other person. There are moments like this where he comes to get Jooha, and they eventually get on that boat and go back. They're back in Seoul. They're in this crazy apartment. This is much different than the one that he was at for a day before he ran away. And I feel like it's showing that obviously we know Dooshik worked hard, but we're continuously shown just how hard he's working to provide a meaningful life for Jooha, right? Like,
yeah, it's something they can be proud of. So he's okay. How'd you get this nice car? How'd you get this nice apartment? And Dooshik is so reluctant to be like, I am doing criminal work so that you and I can be on the up and up one day. He is so reluctant. And then he gets in this car crash and he breaks his arm. And he's, how am I going to tell Jooha that I broke my arm? Will he believe that I fell down the stairs? Should I even lie? There is a whole panel where he's trying to figure out if he should lie or if he should be honest. If like, how much should Jooha know? And it's not what can I get away with? It's like, how can I continue to provide for us in the way I'm providing for us without him feeling guilty for putting me in this criminal lifestyle? And all of those moments where Dooshik is really growing up. He's never had to be an adult. He had to make his way in the world, but he always made his way in the world like a rebellious juvie. Fuck around. That's how he's always done it.
Yeah. It's like he's kind of like, in a way, he was in it. And I don't want to say he was carefree because he obviously had cares, but he was doing things that are like it's more of he lived life for himself for a majority of his life. He lived life to live. And he had moments where he had that ex that he did a lot for that person. And I'm sure we'll touch on that later, but like he loves hard. And people will look at him in the face and be like, you're fucking dumb, bro. They're using you. What are you doing? Like you need to, like, you're more than your love. And people see him as like, he loves too deep sometimes. But with Jooha, it was worth it because Jooha also loves deep. And, you know, in this car accident, I want to touch on this thing this very common trope that we also see in Jinx, we see it a lot, is the red bouquet, the red rose, right? So he comes home, he swings the door open, he has this bouquet of roses. Where is he? Where did Jooha go? When it's every time now that I see a bunch of red roses, I'm like, we're fucked. We're fucked.
I'm going to tell my husband, like, don't even get me red roses. They're not romance. They are literally a smoking gun. That is as soon as you see that, you know somebody fucked up, somebody hurt. And Jooha's gone missing. Dooshik, he reads a note that Jooha's run away from him and so he ran away. We already covered that. His full 3 months gone. But when he comes back this time, has Pilwan taken him to the twins?
Yeah, so he has taken him. What was happening? I think I took a screenshot of it. I have to try. He's abducted so many times.
There's no less than 4 kidnappings in this story, which feels excessive, but also they do all serve a purpose.
Yeah, I feel like every time you learn something new that's really important, the major kidnapping scene that we see with Jooha and Pilwan post Jooha is in a restroom, the twin.
And who didn't want to let him go in that bathroom by himself? Dooshik was like, I swear to God, do not get kidnapped while you're in there. And you can't follow me to the bathroom. What, do you want to hold it for me? And he's like, yeah, I literally would if you'd let me. And he's, no, I'll be fine. And then there's a fucking twin waiting for him in the bathroom. God damn.
And grabs him and takes him. And this is all due to bullshit within the twins, right? So there's this twin is, I want to find a way to word it correctly, but there's inner turmoil between the twins. They're going through some
Because
shit with Pilwan.
one of them is like a simp to
Yep.
Pilwan, and that's how a lot of people in Pilwan's circle, the
Are.
one twin
He wants
is
them to be
cult. It's
dogs.
like,
He wants
yeah,
everyone to be a dog, and one of the twins is a dog, and the other one doesn't cower to anyone. This guy fucking hates the whole situation.
all he likes is his twin brother, and his twin brother is,
He-
he can see in danger of being so far used by Pilwan that his twin brother cuts off 2 of his fingers to prove his loyalty to Pilwan.
Yeah.
So he's, I will do whatever I can to bring down Pilwan so my brother can be safe from him. So this implosion within their circle is causing all of this additional stress. I am like so upset because did we talk about the blowing up of the original clam restaurant?
We didn't.
Because that happened a season ago.
Yep.
And I just wanted to say this about it. Dooshik gets a moment where he almost fucking kills Pilwan, and instead he just makes him hotter. He pulls his eye out, and now he's got this crazy scar on his eye and this eye patch. And I was so fucking thirsty for that goddamn eye patch, Amy. I said, damn it, I wish Pilwan wasn't so fucking hot. But yeah, so we have these 2 hot twins who are incestuous villains with each other. One of them is obsessed with Pilwan. Pilwan's missing an eye. He has had that restaurant initially blown up. So he has very little to lose with Jooha. He's just like, I run a completely different corporation, which you can't touch. You've already blown up this restaurant and pissed me off. So at this point, I can send all my dogs after you while I continue to look legitimate in the eyes of the press. And that is when the evil twin who hates Pilwan starts taking note. And he's just like, no, these 2 things are linkable, and I will link your public identity and he's the son of a congressman or something. I will link all of that prestige with what you've been doing behind the scenes, which is horrifying, coercive, rapey pornography, as well as this debt business where you are buying people's debt from us and then abusing them yourself. So all of that, as we go on into our 3rd kidnapping, is playing out in the background, where Pilwan is really at this point getting desperate. He can see Jooha is no longer able to be convinced that Dooshik doesn't love him. Last time he got Jooha in his house and tried to play recordings to incriminate Dooshik, he got so close to convincing him that he was a bad guy. And then immediately when he sees Dooshik and Dooshik says, leave me, none of that is true. I would never do that to you. Just trust me. Honestly, why would I trust Pilwan over you? I'll pick you, which makes everything that happens in the last season with the memory loss so goddamn painful.
Yeah, that was horrible to read weekly. That was truly one of the most, like, the last half of this story. It was extremely rough to read weekly because we were obviously like, this was not a global release. So we're multiple weeks behind official, and there's so much talk all the time of what's happening here. When I'll get back to that. I don't want to go off on a tangent, but
were you going to say when they fall through the ice? Because I remember those spoilers coming out and people being like,
they're
what
dead. He's dead. And I was like, he's not going to die. Are you kidding me? Oh my God. It was agonizing.
But how many BLs have you read where they did die at the end? Because I have at least 5 I won't touch because I've already been spoiled that they drive off the fucking cliff, fucking Bonnie and Clyde style, both die at the end.
Yeah.
And even knowing the spoilers that this was going to resolve itself, when I got to that moment, I was so fucking upset. Even when I got to this initial moment. So Dooshik basically, through several different scenes, he saves Jooha, who is being assaulted again in front of the camera, and this evil twin is trying to get back at Pilwan by killing his favorite toy on camera as he gets assaulted. So he already has this porn studio where he films all this, and it's like a warehouse. It's very gross. And he is assaulting Jooha. Dooshik is trying to come find them because the evil twin abducted him from the rest stop, and he gets there, but he gets there almost too late. And then Dooshik himself gets shot in the stomach, and all of this starts to crumble. And it is, again, so impressive. And what we love to see in one of our stereotypical tops is that not even a bullet can bring him down. Even after a bullet, he's going to get the fuck up and get his man to safety before he even considers dying.
One of my favorite. So the scene is so impactful. There's multiple things that happen within Jooha throughout the scene. We see him, he in a way relinquishes, like you see him laugh to himself. He's like, this is fucking ridiculous. This is fucking stupid. So he's laughing, and the twins, what the fuck are you laughing about? What's going on? He's okay, just come on, cry for me. Your tears are money. Jooha is just, okay, this is just ridiculous at this point. What can I possibly do? He's resigning himself to the situation. We obviously see that Dooshik comes in pretty late into the situation, but there are a lot of fucking men that he has to get through to get to Jooha. And when he finally gets to Jooha obviously he's mortified. He doesn't want him to see him this way. It's mortifying.
Yeah.
It's very upsetting as a reader to see the sequence of events. And there are several chapter ending at big impactful moments where you pull a gun and you're like, okay, great. Now I gotta wait however fuck many weeks. And so you see, obviously he gets shot. Jooha takes this moment, noticing that he needs to do something, and takes action by shoving what he's on top of into the twin, which knocks him over and obviously gives them the positive edge, because then we see Dooshik's employer walk in with his men and they're able to handle the situation. My favorite point within this is Dooshik, as he's actively bleeding out, has the wherewithal and the heart and compassion. He knows that Jooha was just obviously horrifically assaulted. He's naked in front of him. He wraps him in his clothes. And it's like, this man, it's disgusting how perfect he is. There are so many points where I'm like, no one can compare to you. You do these things and they're perfect.
His wording is so perfect in that moment too, because he's not, cover up. He's, my Hyung is he's vulnerable. Let me help him. Let me protect him. It is never this thing where he's just jealous or grossed out. It's always this thing where it's like,
I can't believe
I respect him so much. And he is, even though he's only a year older than me, he's my elder and he is the love of my life. And I will do whatever I can to protect him and make him comfortable. I will never be. And he even says it in no fewer words. He says, I will never be disgusted by you. There's nothing you can do that would make me ashamed of you. Any state of your life, no matter what happens to you, I will always think you're perfect, untouchable, pure of heart. I don't care if you're internally a total pervert, or if your body shoots pearls, or if people have used you your whole life and you're really ashamed of the different ways in which you have been abused or depicted or filmed. It doesn't, however you feel about all of that, I feel like you've never done wrong in your life. I could never, ever see you in a different light than the light that I see you in, which is completely idealized and on a pedestal. And no matter what Jooha can do, he cannot climb down from that pedestal. Dooshik will always think he's perfect, and no matter what changes. So this is extremely, this is one of the huge peaks of this story, is this all going down. And the employer who comes in to save Dooshik, I had so many questions during the story where I was like, is this our next villain? Is this our next villain? Is this a good guy or a bad guy? And there's a character very early on who is also a host at the club that they work at. And I was like, oh my God, he's going to sell out Dooshik to Pilwan. And he almost does. And then he does right
by
him.
He loves Dooshik. Dooshik is a good fucking guy. Like, no one wants to fuck with them. There's nothing. Who wants to do that to a good guy?
No, the worst thing that he can say is that he is too soft-hearted, is that he lets himself fall in love and be used too easily. And then this employer of his named JL, am I saying, I hope I'm saying that right. That his name is JL, and I think he's 44, but in Manhwa, you're either drawing a 22-year-old or you're drawing a 100-year-old, and trying to make a man look old in these is difficult. So I didn't get quite the read that he was 44. I thought he was like 60. And I
love that.
I was so scared of him. I was like, oh my God, do not betray Dooshik, because he's
a good man. He's a good man.
He's a good man. And he scared me for a second. I was like, okay, he's aligning himself with the pornographers in a way. Like, how is this going to come back around? Is he going to, in the end, be like, okay, Pilwan, let's strike a deal. You can have my employee. No. From the moment that Dooshik is like, I will work as a gangster for you, he's all right, then I will, if you work for me and you protect my assets, I'll protect you and your assets. What matters to you? And he is You've always been soft-hearted. You had your old boyfriend who screwed you over, and now you have this new boyfriend. And then he has a moment out in public where he runs into Jooha, and you wonder if he's about to try to scare him away or whatever. And he recognizes him from one of these forced pornography videos. And instead of clocking any of that, he just tells him he looks like an idol and that he thinks he's so beautiful and he hopes that they have a good life together. And then this boss goes on to be just a total gold standard hero. He was a hero. I fucking love this man so much. And then at the end, we do find out that he is, we'll get to it, but he does end up marrying Dooshik's sister. And the fact that we get a spinoff and it's not their story is making me lose my mind. And I am a fan of BL. So obviously, Ignite the Dawn, the spinoff of this, is a BL, and it's with the character I shipped the old man with. So honestly, got really furious about everything that had to do with this old man, but he was my fucking favorite character. From the moment he introduces himself, I was just like, who? And I hate blondes. I was like, who is? I love this old man. And I know it's my daddy issues talking, but from the moment that he's introduced, he is such a homie and he helps Dooshik and Jooha actually make lives for themselves that they can sustain. And in this moment, we have the twins. Oh, this gets a little fucked up. We have the twins being beaten and then Dooshik using one of them in the way that Jooha was just being used.
Yeah,
and that's our first time.
An eye for an eye.
And when it's an eye for an eye and we're talking about sexual assault, it's extremely hard to get behind and justify. And that's exactly what Dooshik does to one of the twins. He's, all right, if I know to get the evil twin who's obsessed with
Pilwan's dog, he's going to use Pilwan's dog. He's going to use it.
I will use Pilwan's dog. And that if that has a double effect of pissing Pilwan off and also pissing off these men who made these videos of not only Jooha, but my ex-boyfriend who actually died on the set of one of these horrifying drug-addled pornographs. If I can hurt both of them and hurt Pilwan, I will. And that is really where we see Dooshik ride this line, this morally gray line where he almost tips into being unredeemable. This moment was really hard to get behind, even though as an audience, we want this man to suffer. We want both of the twins to suffer so much, and still seeing Dooshik do something of this level is so tough. But we get the point across, which is that there is fucking nothing Dooshik won't do to enact pain on the people who enact pain on.
And there's nothing that twin won't do either. He folds. He's, oh, what do you want me to do? I already want to fuck over Pilwan. What do I need to do to make this happen?
Don't kill my brother.
Don't kill my brother.
Whatever you take me, use me, rape me, do whatever you have to do to me, but let my brother go. And that's when you see that, regardless of the character's moral compass, if there's somebody that you love that you will protect, we will all sink to this same desperate level. And he does. He's, what can I do? I don't care if you kill me after. What can I do to save my brother? And he's, bingo. I'll let you know. You're going to bring down Pilwan. I will stash your brother away. You don't get to know where he is. And when Pilwan is in jail, when Pilwan's dead, when I get my proof that Pilwan is over, I'll show you where your brother is. And it's like it's a big moment because I'm like, I think Dooshik already killed him.
They really keep it hidden for a long time if that twin is actually okay.
I was like, this is Schrodinger's cat, and I think the cat is dead. But yeah, go ahead. Bring down Pilwan. So the really evil twin with the two colored eyes, which, God, he's so hot. Why did she have to make these irredeemable characters so sexy and hard to... I rely on a little bit of ugliness to tell me who the bad guy is going to be.
And I love that she also does this. We have the big bad, right? Who we know is like, we can anticipate what this man is going to fucking do. But there's also these other bad characters that are playing very pivotal points and taking down the main bad character. I love these. I don't fucking like the twins. I hate them with all my heart, but this one plays a big part in wrapping up the story.
When a bad guy double crosses, when there is a double agent in a scenario, it almost always makes them more
Yeah.
sympathetic. And it did make me more sympathetic because I was like, I don't care who you're doing it for. If the end result is Jooha and Dooshik being safe to live their life together, you kind of earn brownie points with me. So it was a little bit hard seeing this totally vile, evil character have such a heroic arc at the end of this, where he releases this film, all of the evidence he has that Pilwan has been involved in this pornography business that is completely coercive and violent and awful. It is like when he has all that evidence and he releases it and he says, this is my face, this is my name. I am calling out Choi Pilwan. He is the devil and I will bring him down. I don't care if I go down with him. I will do whatever I can to bring him down. And then Pilwan starts to freak the fuck out. He's okay. I have lost control of Jooha. I don't have a grip on Jooha anymore. I don't know how I'm going to get my reputation back. He's calling in all of his PR team to be like, how do we snuff this out? But the ball's already rolling. Pilwan's downfall.
The ball has been fucking rolling. And the craziest part, I love this sequence of events too, because you have so many moving parts. You have Jooha, which just came to Pilwan's house. He's like, fuck it. Dooshik's in jail. What? And he tells me everything's okay, but how am I supposed to believe? I want to take agency. What I'm going to do is go to Pilwan and tell him to leave Dooshik the fuck alone. Pilwan, for some stupid fucking reason, whatever, good for him, good for us that he does this, but he calls up the jail, release Dooshik. As soon as Dooshik is released, that tape's revealed. So we have Dooshik, the one thing that he could control at that moment, besides Jooha, is Dooshik. He's gone. He's not in captivity anymore. He's not there. Jooha is watching this newscast and is, you're fucking unbelievable. You're this was your plan the whole time? Like, this whole thing was a fucking setup. Are you serious?
It was so fucking satisfying and so awful because Jooha's already on the brink.
Yeah.
He's already ready I have had this moment of love and this pure bliss, this relationship with Dooshik, that at this point, if I die to bring down Pilwan, I've already experienced a love that most people never get to experience. And I'll take that. So he is really at his wit's fucking end when he sees that Pilwan never destroyed the evidence of those pornographic videos.
Just having them on alternate channel. That man was watching them. Just a flip of a remote. They're right there. Full volume.
Yep. And and the whole reason that he even continued to work with Pilwan is to hide all of that evidence. The evidence is out now. Jooha's face is out there now. And he's okay. So not only has everyone seen me in my lowest moment, but they've seen you in your lowest moment. And Dooshik is out and Dooshik can live his life and I don't have to worry about him getting free. So what the fuck am I going to do with you, Pilwan? Because you took all my humanity, all my dignity. So what do I have left? What do I have left? And then Dooshik fucking comes on into the house, which my anxiety levels during all of this was just suddenly high. I had seen spoilers about them falling through the ice at the very end of this story, but I'd never seen the cliff spoil. I'd never seen a spoiler about the cliff.
That's good. I'm glad that you were spoiled for that because it's a huge scene. Huge.
I was like, what the fuck is going to happen? Because Dooshik comes racing in to save Jooha. Jooha's, I guess, if you let Dooshik go, you can have me, whatever. So he's pretty fucking vulnerable. He's also at his wit's end. Dooshik races in and Pilwan is ready. This is my last choice, is to either take away my beautiful creature that I feel possessive over, make it so Dooshik can never have him, or I can kill Dooshik and make sure that Jooha can never have Dooshik. And I'm going to make them choose. I will make them choose which one dies. And my heart was literally racing out of my chest because I'm just like, I don't know, fucking tackle him, Dooshik. I don't know, hit his gun out of his hand.
I know that. What is it? What he knows? Yeah, judo. He knows one of those. Martial arts. Bitch is talented. Do something.
And also, you have no idea how on the verge Jooha is. He literally just got assaulted by Pilwan again. And I was like, he's going to do something. And then he fucking throws himself at Pilwan. And he's, you know what? If the last thing I do with my life is kill Pilwan, I will have done the whole world a service. I will have done Dooshik a service. Dooshik won't have to live with me as this embarrassment and all my shame and all the things that I am horrified about myself. I won't have to heal from any of that, I'll just kill myself and take Powan out with me. This is the second suicide attempt also from this main character, which is extremely triggering. And I probably should have mentioned it in our trigger warnings that there is a lot of self-harm content going on. But in this moment, he's very much thinking like, my sacrifice will all be worth it. I'll throw myself at Powan and this story will be over. Until he looks up and sees Dooshik falling after them. Now all three of them are going over a cliff. And this is what I meant by this fucking love triangle that should have never been a love triangle. Pilwan has interjected his damn self into all situations, including this moment where I'm just like, they're both gonna die and they're gonna have to share their death date with fucking Pilwan. God damn. I was like, maybe all the other spoilers I saw were like some alternative universe. But thank God, no, because that would have really pissed me off. But who do we see but the evil twin coming to, which again, everyone remember, Dooshik can't swim. So
I love that about him because he's always going in the water for Jooha, always going in the water. And he can't fucking swim.
About it.
And Jooha definitely can't. He's unconscious. Jooha's,
oh yeah,
he's gravely injured and Dooshik can't fucking swim. So what the fuck are they gonna do? Luckily, the twin was there because guess who wants to find his fucking brother? Yeah, you're gonna wait the fuck up. You're not gonna die yet until you tell me where the fuck my brother is.
Yep, the only person who knows where my brother is either going to drown or I'm going to save his ass. And he's, listen, I made sure Pilwan is dead. Here's a little bit of cloth for evidence.
It's fucking like turtleneck bullshit. Here you go. Take it.
Yeah, have his ugly little turtleneck and now wake the fuck up. And he's just like, wake up. Where is my brother? And he's, all right, it sounds like this is all taken care of. The police are on their way, by the way. And he's just like, I don't give a damn. Just let me see my brother is alive. And he's, all right. So Dooshik ends up bringing Jooha to the hospital and then bringing the evil twin to a nunnery where his sister is hot as fucking hell.
And can nuns smoke?
Apparently at this convent they
smoke.
I do love this about Catholicism is that there's so many different sects that there are certain sects of priests who take a vow of poverty, and then there's the priests in Italy who are wearing fucking Louboutin loafers, and you're like, wait, I thought you were supposed to be living a life of poverty, and they're like, no, my group does not take that vow. And the same thing with drinking. You'll might meet a lot of priests who drink and a lot of priests who don't drink, whether or not they find that to be like within standards. So I love that clearly this sister has been put in the nunnery, maybe because she was a juvenile delinquent like Dooshik. And whatever nunnery this is, she just gets to keep on smoking at. So she's bad fucking ass. Before we even see anything, because she's in a nun's habit, you just see that face. It's Dooshik's face, but a lady's face. And for the bisexuals and pansexuals out there, the lesbians, you're going to like her. I can promise. Ain't nobody going to see Dooshik's sister and thinks that face card declines. She is so fucking hot. And we get 2 glimpses of her, which is why I'm pretty fucking bitter that the spinoff story isn't about her. I would have taken it about her and the old man or the old man and his assistant, but I'm confused why I got the assistant and some rando who barely peeks in at the last minute. And I'm really interested to see I really want to know what your feelings are, but just to wrap up what happens with the boys, we get the evil twin taking full responsibility for Pilwan's murder after he sees that his twin is alive. And then we have the boss, Jae-il, taking over that kind of situation with the brother at the nunnery. And that's how he meets Dooshik's sister. And we see later on in the side stories, are getting married to each other, which age gap. We have both of them being like underground gangster stories. I literally am begging this creator to please elaborate. I would like to elaborate. And also I'd like to see the wedding. So
you see a little bit. Because it goes right into the starting of Ignite the Dawn. It goes right into the wedding. So it's like they pick up right where Yuta, which is that character, the back of his head. So that's the
first chapter of Ignite the Dawn.
So you go right into that and then into their story, which is Yuta and the one.
So our last, I don't know, I think chapter 90 is the last chapter of this official story. Yeah. So we get this resolution with the twins, and then we have Jooha in the hospital and Dooshik sitting by his side as he comes to terms with the fact that Jooha has amnesia that may never go away and has no clue who he is. How did you feel reading this weekly when this memory loss was announced? What did it do to you?
So I feel like I don't like amnesia, and I've said this multiple times about a lot of things. Amnesia
Yes.
is a trope that is usually played into a lot and sometimes to a detriment where it's, oh, another accident, and now the main fucking character doesn't have memory. So when I initially read this though, I wish it happened at a different point when I was reading it because I was like, it's I want I wanted to see. Obviously, we get a lot in the side stories. This is one
Yeah.
that relies on side stories to carry through the remainder of the story. But I'm gonna let them barks, gonna edit it out. But I feel like when my heart was full but broken, there are multiple points in this story where Dooshik says, I like, or Jooha says Dooshik loses memories. I like, oh, I wish I could erase my memory for him. Like Dooshik saying he
Yeah.
wishes he could take away his memories for Jooha. And it ends up being that Jooha loses his memories, but it ends up being heart filling and heartbreaking, where you have Dooshik being heartbroken, but also relieved that Jooha doesn't remember his horrifying past. And you have Jooha, who is waking up and is in his early 20s and is now like carefree, but he has this deep pit. He has a gnawing feeling. So it's a very unsettling. It was I love how complex it was because it left me with so many emotions and I was ripping my hair out. I need to see what happens now.
I can't imagine being a weekly reader. And like you said, it's not even weekly. These were taking a long time to translate and come over to the
Yeah.
US audience. I cannot imagine being in that scenario during these side stories because Dushik accepts that the amnesia has taken over. Juha, like you said, is a 20-year-old. He doesn't remember his mom dying. He doesn't remember what happened to his restaurant. So Dushik just fills in the blanks with the least harmful and traumatic information that he can while leaving a lot of stuff out. And certain memories, and of course anybody who has like a head injury or anybody who has been in therapy or understands trauma knows that oftentimes the things we most want to forget are the things we literally cannot
Yeah.
forget. And Dushik is seeing sparks of memory come back to Juha, and none of them are about their love for each other. The sparks coming back to Juha are about Pilwan, which he thought they got rid of when they killed him, but instead the memory loss when they killed Pilwan, all of Juha's memories went with him. His pearls went with him, which Amy.
That's something that I wish I had clarity on. Like he's like, why do you produce pearls? I just do. I'm born this way. And then we have, where the fuck did the pearls go? It's I don't know. They just went away.
What, like literally in my head, I had some kind of explanation for the mom having purple hair and Juha having purple hair and them working on this island and how they had to have been like some kind of mer people.
Right.
And the author was like, no, I had this like idea of Peter Pan picking up a merman, but there's no real concrete like explanation for the pearls. I thought maybe his mom also could make pearls, but never. We
That's
never get any resolution to this. And when his memories go away, the pearls go away. Why would that happen? Why did they return to the ocean when he fell into the sea?
right.
When he lost, was he dead for a second and all of his magic powers like went away when he died? I wanted any kind of closure on that, and I was like, when his memories come back, he will get his memories back and then he'll get the pearls back. And
Pearls never came back. The pearls gone forever.
Dooshik and Juha opened this really adorable restaurant called Pearl Boy, which I thought that was like such a good way to wrap up the story, as being like they open a restaurant. Dooshik's still bad at working a normal job, but Juha makes it happen. Dooshik learns how to be a bartender and taps into his innate skills of
He's
charming
a great
people.
host. Yeah.
He's a great host. He's a
perfect.
great bartender. And Juha starts to get jealous of the customers. And so that starts to ignite this like spark within him to start pursuing Dooshik in a way. And Dooshik has been waiting for him to pursue him so that he doesn't feel like he's forcing on this amnesiac, like life that he isn't choosing for himself. So it's a beautiful place where they end up. But all of these surrounding dynamics, the fact that every night Juha has a nightmare about Pilwan and Chick holds him and pretends to be Pilwan because it seems to be the only thing to calm him down. It was heart-wrenching, like literally so difficult to read. And I'm reading this like with all hope that there will be a happy ending. It's been out for almost 2 years now. Like it's been finished. I know that there's going to be a spin-off. I know they're going to get a happily ever after. And still in these moments, I was like, this is not happily ever after. This is a fucking nightmare. Dooshik is happy that Jooha's memories are gone, except for the fact that he cannot recall anything about them. In fact, he's been calling his Hyung for like their entire relationship. And at this point, Jooha thinks that he's the younger
Yep.
one. Like Jooha thinks that he is 20 years old.
Calling him
and this-
Mister.
but
He's
he's calling him Mister. It's so fucked
yeah,
up. It
and
was
he's no. I feel like I remember you. You came. You helped me pick up those clams, and Dushik's
that was
not
Poan.
fucking meat.
That was
That's not fucking meat,
and
and that's absolutely
and
heartbreaking.
this parallel where the author kind of made them look similar. And then in the nightmares, you can see that it is Dooshik's color eyes. He has yellow eyes. And when he's seeing Pilwan, it is Dooshik. He has replaced all of the memories of Pilwan with Dooshik's face. So he doesn't understand if he should trust this man or not trust this man. And Dooshik's so fucking torn up over that because he's just like, yeah, I want you to replace Pilwan with me, but I don't want you to feel the way about me that you felt about Pilwan. And why wouldn't you remember any of our memories together if you remember your first meeting of
That
him?
was the most heartbreaking part of that memory sequence at the end, where you have, and Dooshik held on so long. And this is something I want to touch on because I don't know if you saw any of the fandom discourse during this time, but a lot of people turned on Dooshik. In the scene where they have their first sexual encounter, when Jooha thought he would be the top, there was a huge shift in the fandom where everyone then said, okay, Dooshik just raped Jooha and now is irredeemable. And so I think a lot of this comes from, I think there was a lot of time between the last time that you really saw them in a sexual encounter and now. Dooshik has stated multiple times, you're usually in pain. I put it in and you're in pain, but you fucking love it. And they have these every time they're with each other sexually throughout the main story, you see the same. Dooshik is behaving in a very similar way than he does in that situation. But because Jooha doesn't remember, he's reacting differently. His internal dialogue is different. He doesn't understand. He doesn't, this is all new for him. It's his first time. He's a virgin, born again, you know? And Dooshik, though, had been holding back for months. He is starving. He has done so much to hold himself back and keep himself from tainting the way that Jooha is healing. He wants to be there to be that encouraging, supporting role to help promote as good of healing as possible for him. But at this moment, when Jooha provokes him, because he does, Dooshik's like, I can't anymore. And goes back to like how he used to act with him. But Jooha's not used to that. So the fandom was like, okay, he raped him. And so now when you see conversations around what flag is Dooshik, people say that he's yellow to red because of that scene in the side stories. And people say that the side stories ruined Pearl Boy for them.
I think that's insane because the way he acts in the side stories for me was completely consistent with who he is. In fact, you're talking about how consistent he is with his care for Jooha in the intimate scenes. He has this very specific routine of that
he always eats. Warm up. He always fucking eats every time.
He always gets 3 fingers in and his tongue before he does anything else. And he is really considerate about how warmed up and ready Jooha is. He also always gets off before Dooshik gets off. Like Jooha gets off twice before Dooshik ever gets off once. I think he is completely green flag. The only thing that I think makes him morally gray is what he does to the evil twin, but that does not. In no way did I feel like that at all with Jooha. In fact, I thought this author did an incredible job. And I think that there is a lot of discourse around consensual acts in BL. And there's a lot, things are being translated. There's sound effects, there's stuff like that. But this story is about an extremely high libido on somebody who is being abused. Jooha, she even said, I almost gave this hashtag promiscuous boy because Jooha does have a sex drive. And in fact, he has like an incredibly high sex drive. He's
got stamina.
And he got stamina and he wants to fuck. And when he's making pearls by himself or with Dooshik, he is so in he is so in it. His consent has been given. In this story, he even says, I want to mate like animals. I felt like this would have made an incredible Omega verse because all of the elements are already
Yeah.
there of these fated mates and this alpha and this Omega. But I thought that for me, there was never a question about consensuality. There was only ever this, I thought, very intentional, creative decision to say if somebody has a surprising bodily function, they should be surprised by it in the moment. And if you are a person who is sexually active, which it's totally fine if you're listening to this and you are asexual or aromantic and this is not your jive, and when you read these panels and you're seeing someone go, wait, oh no, oh my God, my stomach, I feel weird, stop. And you've never had that feeling IRL, that experience IRL, it's okay for that to be uncomfortable for you. But for me, it feels like extremely good representation for somebody to be like, I'm about to squirt on you
Like
and pearls are going to come
you gotta stop or this is about to get dirty.
dirty.
Yeah.
And you're at one point, he's almost just Dooshik doesn't know I come pearls. He's going to choke on all these pearls if he swallows. And there are these moments where he tries to interrupt in the middle of the heat of the moment in a sexual interaction to be like, wait, my body's going to do something weird. And I feel like people are very critical of those situations being depicted in webcomics because it's art and we're not getting 4 paragraphs of their internal monologue of I really want this, but I'm embarrassed. I really want this, but I'm nervous. I really want this, but I don't know what happens after I go over the edge. I don't know if I can trust this person if my body betrays me or does something weird, or I make a weird sound, or I have like spray this whole room full of seed. What's going to happen, and can I trust this person? I think that's something that makes these stories really relatable. And I honestly think in hetero romances, we never fucking get it. And that's why a lot of people, I think a lot of people assigned female at birth enjoy these stories because there seems to be this talk about bodily functions that we glaze right over in a hetero story where it's no weird sounds are happening, no weird functions are going on. You put the pole in the hole and everybody gets off and everyone's happy. And it's if you're a sexually active person in 2026, that's probably not the majority of experiences. And instead of women being comfortable yet and being able to talk about that, sometimes it's easier to put that on a surrogate and be like, Jooha's squirting. And we're going to talk about squirting in this way with these pearls. And in this way, it's all coded, but we can all talk about these embarrassing moments where our body did something that we didn't know was normal, we didn't think other people did, and someone was there to think we were beautiful and assure us that we're normal and that they love us just the way they are. And it blows my mind that anybody sees how Dooshik acts with Jooha and says that he could even be a yellow flag because he is consistently reaffirming. He's consistently double checking for consent, even when he says, okay, if you give me permission right now, I won't be able to hold back later. So double checking right now. And still, if Jooha had ever said the word, like, actually stop, I need you to stop, like, Dooshik would have stopped. It's for me, that's not even a question. And the moment where Jooha loses all of his memory and he thinks he's going to be the top, he's not assaulted by Dooshik when he realizes he's the bottom. That was never going to happen.
Yeah, I know. It's more like to me, I don't really know if the ball maybe missed the mark with some of the fandom because I understand what she was trying to portray with that sequence. Like,
yeah.
I got
he's a born again virgin. He doesn't know what to expect.
And he's very bashful and embarrassed and covering himself. And I can't believe I'm rubbing on Dooshik's chest right now. I'm feeling turned on. I don't oh my God, this hot ass man who's nice to me, who I used to be in a relationship with, is turning me off. What do I do? And it's you get all these there's a great lead up to this scene. And I think that there's a lot of moments where what happened in Wet Sand, it happens in other stories where when the bottom passes out and the top stays in for a little too long, or the top finishes, or whatever the situation, that turns into sexual assault. And I am not here to tell people what they should and shouldn't deem sexual assault, but it's I think we have to have the conversation of eliminating the talk of red flags and yellow flags and green flags, just flag typing at all when it comes to nuance like this. It's like,
Yeah.
it's a common trope. Understandably, it might make people uncomfortable, but this is something that happens a lot. And it doesn't necessarily mean that that character is now a red flag because he is saying, you're mine, you're all mine. There's so much behind why he was feeling the way he was feeling and why he was saying the words that he said in that scene.
Yes, and is that the scene where he says, I'll never let you go. You can't get away from me." And
Yeah,
there's a small parallel to Pillwan where our main character is triggered and has to ask himself, am I in danger, or am I in a similar situation with somebody that I trust? And that last situation was somebody who I could not trust and who would hurt me if given the chance, and saw me as an object. And is this person different? Even if even if they say the same words or accidentally hurt you in a similar way the other person hurt you, what was the intention there? And I guess sometimes intention doesn't matter and sometimes it does. And this story, at this moment where Jooha is coming back to himself and starting to wonder why he has these needs that he has and how to express those needs and how to get those needs fulfilled. All of this, like you said, it's a very nuanced, and it felt like he even, not knowing why he should trust Dooshik, he trusted Dooshik. And he was like, whatever happens from here, I'm letting you in.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm letting you in. I'm opening the door. What you do is up to you, but I trust that you won't hurt me. And even in the moment where he passes out, I don't know, maybe I'm just a kinky fucking weirdo, but I'm like,
Dooshik, and to Dooshik, that's what you have to think about. Like, Jooha is the only one that doesn't have memories. Dooshik remembers how their other encounters have always been, who Jooha always was, what Jooha likes, what his body innately likes.
Yeah.
He understands how to get him off. He knows this about him. And I think what's like,
yes,
I love as well, and I think it's important to talk about, like, how Jooha treats Dooshik after that scene. He punishes him for weeks. He's, all right, you are gonna suck me off. You're gonna fulfill my needs. You're going to be my slave whenever you're gonna do it. And so Dooshik wants this. So Dooshik plays into it by being extra flirty with the people at the restaurant, knowing that Jooha is just going to pull him into the back room and have him punished. Yeah. And of course, I loved this scene too, as when, Jooha's, I can do it to you too. We can do that. I can do that for you. And I love just how much Dooshik compliments Jooha just repeatedly. He's always like, you're so beautiful. He can't get over this man that's in front of him. And it's like he just praises the ground that Jooha walks on. Every time I think of people thinking poorly on Dooshik as a man, I'm like, I just don't. He is perfect. He stayed with Jooha no matter what, no matter who Jooha remembered him as. He opened up a restaurant, committed his life to helping him heal, didn't force himself on him whatsoever during that entire time. If anything, he was just being like the perfect helpful partner, the perfect helpful friend. He wasn't even, you're my boyfriend. He was like, you were my boyfriend until the accident. He wasn't going to force that they were in a relationship after that point. He wanted him to make his own decision. And
in fact, that was Jooha 1.0. You're a different person, and I will respect who you are as this Jooha 2.0. And Jooha's even, I should change my name because I don't relate to that guy at all. And you can see Dooshik dying from this death of his former lover, and also being willing to keep going and meet this man on his terms.
See the beauty in that. There's beauty in that.
Yeah, and it's going to be a completely different dynamic. And I love that the author used this amnesia trope to touch a couple tropes that us VL girlies love, which is age gap. We got an age gap trope and a virgin trope, even though Jooha is older than Dooshik. We get this moment where there's a complete role reversal. And during this memory loss, Dooshik has to be the grown-up, the elder, who is responsible and making good business choices and helping Jooha along in his recovery. And you can see how counter that is to his instinct. His instinct is to be a himbo baby who just resorts to his fists. And now he has to be like truly responsible for Juha, and he treats him like a 20-year-old. He does not expect too much out of him or too little. He's just trying to protect him like you would somebody who is younger than you. And I thought that role reversal was done so well. And then finally, god damn, I really thought he wasn't going to get his memories back. And then these two are, they're hooking up again. They are back to being boyfriend and boyfriend, but Dooshik accepted that Juha will never be the same. And then they fall through the ice together. And the shock of that, which Lord knows how Dooshik even got them out of this situation because he cannot
Yeah.
swim. So again, for a while, I was like, aren't they dead? And all of this, everything after that is just like fake, the heaven or what? But no, he really does save him. And when he pulls Juha up on the ice, all of his memories come flooding back to him. And finally, Dusha can let down his guard and he starts sobbing and he's, I have a Chung, I've been waiting for you. It's been a year. I've had to act like a grown up, and now I'm just going to sob because I needed you. I needed you. You're always there. You're the older of us, too. You're smarter, and I have had to pretend to be smart, and I've had to pretend like I have things under control, and I've been masking so that I didn't freak out this other Juha who had no memories, and I'm sick of it, and I just want to be a baby again. And for me, that return to Dooshik's true personality was such, I was like, that's the payoff for this memory trope, is that we saw Dooshik step up to the fucking plate. And then when he didn't have to anymore, we got to see him go back to being baby girl. And I really did enjoy that moment, but their argument on the ice about how Dooshik should just let Juha die and he's stupid for staying with him. I was like, oh, why? You let me have this relief and then you immediately beat me back down. And it was realistic. Yeah. I would have probably treated my husband like that if I realized he'd thrown away his life for some shell of a person who doesn't even recognize him and thinks that he's this evil other guy. I would have that reaction. So maybe it's believable, but it was like, why does this author hate us? This
Yeah.
is so sadistic.
Yeah. I feel like there's so much, like we've talked about in the past, they both go back and forth with this like blaming themselves and like Juha being like so certain that he is the core of Dooshik's suffering, but Dooshik being like, I love you. I don't give a fuck. I need you to be alive. If we're going to die, we're going to die together. And guess what? You didn't fucking die. So you're going to live with me. You're going to live for me. We're going to do this together. And I love that in that moment, Dooshik was like, what the fuck are you talking about? Shut the fuck up. He was like, this is ridiculous.
Love that he says, do you ever think about me?
Yeah.
And I'm like, ooh, and there's the question, which is we have been bending over backwards for Juha. We're also, as an audience, like we're predisposed to identify with the bottom or the more feminine character and to want the extremely masculine character to just be strong and the rock for everybody. And Juha has totally done that. He's like not considered the fact that inside Dooshik is just a little guy who doesn't want to see his lover killed and who doesn't want to live on this earth. Do you think for a second my life would be better knowing my lover is dead? I wouldn't even be here. I could not go on. What do you mean it'd be better if you were dead or if you never got your memories back? Like you are everything to me. There is no scenario where I have a life without you. I cannot live without you, and not in a self-harm way, not in a codependent way, but in the way that I've found my person and my purpose and my family. And if that leads us to falling off a cliff together or falling through the ice together, that's where that leads us. And then Juha has this moment when he was under the water where we have this through line in this resolution where he says, if underwater there are no roads, then the tides will always take me back to you. That's a beautiful connection to their first meeting where he pulls Dooshik out of the water. It's a beautiful tie back to them falling off a cliff together. It really does wrap it up, especially for a story where a couple times you're like, does the author know where this is going? This moment, you're like, no, this is what it was all for, was like this chance for both of them to choose each other again in a moment and in a time and in circumstances where they have the world as their oyster and they could pick anywhere to be and anybody to be with, no debt tying them down, no mobsters holding anything over their head. Would they choose each other again? If they could start over and everything is fine, would they still choose each other?
And they
do. And that is really the happy ending and the green flag and the resolution of it all. And To me, that was very satisfying. Had he not gotten his memories back, I would have been having a very different podcast. I would be so angry. And one thing I was mad about, which I don't know why I'm still mad about this, and Dooshik's not mad about it, but why did Juha not get his pearls back? What the fuck?
I wish I understood, and it's something that I've racked my brain over so many times. I wish that we had gotten even just something in the creator's note at the end of the story, something that was like, BT dubs, this is where the pearls went, or just something. I don't know. I feel like it makes, if we look at it narratively, okay, so it comes full circle moment where now it's like they're like his worth truly now 100% is only within them. There's no tie with any of its past. All of it's a choice. Narratively, it has impact, but I do selfishly want to know what happened to them.
And also, I'm just like, so when he is that first instance where he gets back with Juha, he tries to force a pearl in and he gets it in. He's like, what are you putting in there? And he's like, just a pearl. You'll get it when you get it. Once
if you know, you know, and you don't know.
But does not know. And so it's just like that moment, I was like, oh, like this is this bonding thing. I don't know. And also when you have like a sexual partner, certain things about them and their body, and it makes you feel bonded to them and close to them that you can read them. And then this whole thing is changed. And yes, you're right. Narratively, it makes a lot of sense for Dooshik to be like, I don't just have like a weird pearl fetish. I'm not with you because you are different. I'm not with you because there's a monetary value tied to you. None of this matters to me. If you couldn't come at all anymore, if your dick didn't work anymore, I still would love you the way I love you. You don't need to produce these pearls. So I get that. I do. I just also am like, for all that Juha has been through with those goddamn pearls, he should be allowed to never work a goddamn day in his life. And same thing for Dooshik. They should be able to just live off them pearls forever. And it did bother me a little bit that they're like a ticket, their cash cow, regardless of the fact that maybe, that is a kind of like work Juha would have to be putting in. I'm like, oh, that was their ticket to freedom. They'd never, if I could make pearls, I would just be here all day making pearl. This would be a damn pearl factory. I would be a pearl vending machine because I would not work. I would just be selling pearls. So I guess for me, I was just like, damn it, you took the one thing that haunted him his whole life that could make him an easy future that he could capitalize on and take back. He could take
it could be like a control thing. It could be like a meaningful taking back of control type scenario. Yeah.
Watch him, just like hand out pearls to the poor or throw them in the ocean or whatever, do whatever he wants with his goddamn pearls. And instead they're just like, they were used against him and then they're stripped from him. And that made me sad. I do love that they, instead of cashing in on the pearls, just keep them in the vase.
I think that's meaningful.
Like, that is meaningful. And it's like, this is something that bonded us at one point. We don't need it to bond us anymore. And it's a memory and it's not the core of our relationship.
And we don't need them. Right, exactly. So it's like them keeping them and never selling them is just bringing home the fact that they're not important to either of them. That's a part of their past, it's part of their story. It's important, but it's also just as important to look at them as what they are and not try to pawn them off for whatever reason or other. I feel like it's meaningful the way that they exist currently. But yeah, I do agree with you. It's like
each pearl is a memory, not a money.
Yeah.
And so I thought that was beautiful, but it is one of the only things that I'm just like, you didn't have to take it away. You could have let him keep his pearls. And then the rest of the side stories are revolving around tipping us off to the spinoff, which is going to be, so we had throughout this Dooshik's gangster boss, and he has an assistant, and his assistant right-hand man, who he plans on being his successor, very close with him in a father-son way. He picked him up off the streets of Japan. They're both connected to the Yakuza in Japan and also to this gangster life in South Korea. And they have this whole history. And I was just like, yeah, this is age gap, father-son, stepfather-son dynamics, taboo. This is right where we're going into the side stories. Then I had no idea. I thought Ignite the Dawn. I knew that there was a character named Yuta, but I was like, no, I must be confused. It has to be between the boss and his assistant. This has to be another BL. And it kept alluding to that because the assistant would be like,
he's in love with him. He's in love with him.
And he's a virgin. And he wants to chew up his food for him. He is doting on this old man all the time. I was very disappointed that those two don't get a story. The only consolation is that hot ass old man gets Dooshik's hot older sister. I'm like, all right, fine. It's a similar age gap. She's also a nun, so there's also taboo things going on there. But I was really thrown off. Were you shipping them? Were you rooting
Oh
for them? Were
yeah.
you like,
Yeah, no, I shipped them so hard. And when it came out that they weren't canon, I was so sad that I had told myself, I was like, I'm not fucking reading it at the dawn. I'm not fucking reading it. I don't want to fucking read it. I was so pissed that in my core, I was like, why couldn't we should have ended Pearl Boy at Pearl Boy and then started just a new work, because I was so done with I was I was so upset by it because I really loved them and I've been shipping them for the whole time. Cause I was like, that's just one of my favorite dynamics. It's really sweet. And I just love,
that's
I
why
love, he's a puppy dog. He fucking loves him.
he's obsessed with him. And this is why I think binging is the only way I can read, because had I been in your position, I would have just, I would have broken.
And I was like,
I would have
why?
been so mad.
Why Dooshik's sister out of nowhere? She's only really appeared a few times. Why? Why?
And I only ship these two, like I binged this in 2 or 3 days. So I've been shipping them for 2 or 3 days. And it felt like a betrayal when that character was not with his
Right.
assistant. For you to be reading this for years and waiting and shipping and having faith in your ship and standing behind it and making content where you're like, these two, their story's gonna be so
Like,
good. And then just
When
having
I saw,
played in your
yeah,
thing.
when I saw the Twitter spoilers, I was like, his sister, you're kidding me. It's so upsetting. But like,
And it's not in a way where we get the hot sister. We don't even get to see scenes with the hot sister, right? It's just a segue into getting the assistant
his story.
with a random character we've never met.
It's a segue into that story. It has nothing to do with, Dooshik's sister.
This is the point where you just have to remind yourself that this are people making this in the moment and going off of their intuition, and they have an idea where this is all going, and maybe that'll change along the way. This artist, the glow up that happened during this, like how kind of nerfy Dooshik was at the beginning, how hot he is at the end. Sometimes you do just have to have faith in them. I'll read Ignite the Dawn. I will probably do it next year when I can time it out like this again and have enough.
Yeah, I would binge it. I've read the first 15 chapters and now I'm cooking it because it's, to me, it probably is dark, but this is darker. There are it's hard. So it's one of those stories. It's still, I don't know why Lezen did this, but it's also not a global release. So I'm just super tired of staying up to date with stories that are that far behind in translation when I can because to me, the way that she structures stories, it's much easier to digest with a plentiful amount of chapters because there's so many moving pieces. When it's something simple like Pause and Clause, where that wasn't global, but it didn't need to be. It's not super complex. There's not a lot of moving parts. Not everything connects in a way that's important. But with hers, it's like there are just these characters. There's too much trauma. There's way too much heavy hitting topics. I need to sit down and binge it. So I'd recommend doing it, but it's good you're already doing it.
So I have heard that Ignite the Dawn, if Pearl Boy is a green flag love story covered in toxic circumstances, I have heard that Ignite the Dawn is red flag, like both Utah and so I feel like I will like that, but I also feel like that's going to come with
it's a lot
so
of
much outrage.
It's a lot of
yes,
trauma.
and then the readers get so outraged, and it's so confusing when you're just like, I'm trying to be a part of this fandom, and it seems like half of you are not fans. Why would you even
with this one?
You're not.
Yeah, there's a good amount of people when you're on Twitter when there's specific scenes with Utah's backstory that come out, and the fandom is like, what the fuck is wrong with this author? She cannot write anyone happy. Everyone has a horrifying backstory, and everything that happens to them is horrifying. So it's like people look at this and all these scenes and they're like, but the thing is about this author is she doesn't romanticize anything. It's all extremely dark. It's extremely grotesque. It gets this horror theme across. It's like, it makes everyone repulsed. So to me, it's like if you were to write a story like this, she's doing it the proper way. You know what I mean? Nothing is glorified. Everything is like, it's disgusting. It's despicable. and it makes you feel the feelings that you're supposed to feel when reading a raunchy piece of fiction.
And I am always confused by the sect of Fujoshis, and I have to just chalk it up to them being young and inexperienced in life. But I'm just like, when you watch a horror movie where somebody asks everyone to saw off their limbs to find a key inside their eyeball or whatever, are you looking at everyone who goes to see Saw in the theater and being like, you must also want to dismember people? No,
Right.
it is a psychological thriller. And in order for our brains to have a psychological experience that is outside of the norm, a writer is going to have to do something fictional that is
Yeah.
to us. And oftentimes, yes, there are things that are done in a way that's they're doing it in an exploitive way where you're like, okay, we have been, I don't know, Low Tide and Twilight is one for me where I'm like 4 episodes of sexual
It
assault. Like
gets
we
to a
could have
point.
gotten
Yeah.
it gets to a point where it feels like you're doing this for it's
Yeah.
gratuitous and we're doing this for some kind of like
Yeah.
gratification of people that I don't think we, if you love the characters, want to see those characters treated like that. But also I'm just like, this is, if you want to read fluff and you want to read a happy story, that is available. That's why genres
Yeah.
exist. Why would you pick a dark psychological horrific story if you were interested in those themes? Same way you wouldn't go to a movie and show up to Saw and sit down
Like,
in
I
that
thought this was
theater.
romance. What the hell?
You bought the ticket. You bought the ticket to the movie. Why did you pay money to see this if this is not the experience you wanted your brain to go through? I am so happy that a true fan of the story is here. Somebody who has read it multiple times, somebody who can weigh in on how the fandom was feeling as we're going through the story, and then how people like me receive the story when they get to binge it all at once. They
so
have the
different.
resolution.
It's so different. And it's, I love, and this is something that I talked with Alex about with Jinx. I love the experience of both. Like when you're a weekly reader, reading it weekly, and then having that experience, and then years later coming back and binging it and being like, holy shit, this is completely different. Because it is. So I think those conversations are really cool, being able to talk with someone who binged it only and then someone who didn't. And I feel like those conversations are really meaningful to have with these Hallmark stories that everyone knows.
Yeah. And I think absolutely everyone has a right to their opinion. And if you were reading this week by week and you got fed up with it or
Valid.
frustrated with it, I can see where that makes sense. And also, I could say to somebody who wants to read it now, or kidnapping after kidnapping, did it bother me when I got to binge it? No, it resolves itself very quickly because you're binging it. You get to enjoy that. Would I recommend this to people who have a tolerance for these kind of triggers and these tropes? Yes, I literally would. And I've had so many people say they DNF this story. And now I know why. It's because they were reading weekly and they had no promise of this resolution at the end, where I got the benefit of the doubt with the author that they already had a spinoff series in the same universe. I can have this hope and faith that there will be some kind of satisfying resolution. And I feel bad for people who didn't finish the story, who DNF'd it in the middle, because I'm like, I feel like you would have liked how these characters ended up. I feel like you would have appreciated this story in its entirety if you didn't suffer through it week by week with the author almost giving up on it and the memory loss. I probably would have DNF'd it right there at the memory loss with if I did not know that there was extra chapters coming after that. It is so much fun. You are like a BL expert to me, but specifically also a Pearl Boy expert. And I'm just so grateful that you're here. I do hope if I do a Hounds or an Ignite the Dawn, that maybe you'll come on for another episode.
Yeah. And I feel like those would be, especially Hounds, there's so much theorizing that I've been obviously like, that's a story that there's a new theory every episode. I feel like that would be a really fun one to do a deep dive on, because there's so much happening all the time.
It would be so fun to do an episode on theories alone, where we're just like, here is the plot. It's a zombie world. We've got this maybe half zombie guy and a guy with memory loss. Now, what are our theories? I would so love to do that with you as a full conspiracy theory, like red thread.
Yeah, it's a story that would be perfect for that.
That would be so much fun. So I guess with our summary of Pearl Boy being wrapped up, I would probably rate this story for me. And I guess I am really bad at rating because I give everything 5 stars that I liked. But if you got to binge this and you got to talk to somebody you like in the fandom about it, you would give it 5 stars too. It's a 5 star story. The art has an incredible glow up. The characters are hot as hell. And it's, I think, satisfying. I like the relationship that's built. I root for the characters. I want to buy merch of them. So for me, in my books, that makes this a 5 star. And I see why it's a classic. Would you also recommend this to? Would you give it five
Yeah, yeah.
stars?
Like Pro Boy, if anyone has known me for any amount of time, like before Backlight came to be, this was like the story that I would say is my favorite because it was like the first story that ever made me feel like I felt
Oh my god.
so deeply for both Jooha and Dooshik. It was like, it was the first story that was like, fuck, this genre is it. And
Yeah.
so, like, with that, of course, I recommend if, and like you said, if anyone has tolerance for stories like this, like, you should read it. But similar to Painter of the Night, if you're going to read a story that's dark, read the most popular ones. There's a reason why everyone talks about them.
Yep,
And
there's a reason why they're like tattooed on people's
yeah,
bodies, and years after their release, they're still
yes,
talked about, and people are still making podcast episodes and memes and shit about them because those characters left a mark.
there are so many things that, like I said, Dooshik has been that benchmark character. So it's like when
I
someone sticks out like that, where you're like, okay, so I am gonna, how do I not compare other characters to you?
This is one of my benchmark characters, and one of my all-time delusional boyfriends is Juicy. And there's this moment with Juicy where I didn't know if I would ever forgive him. And it's when he leaves for 3 years and he comes back and he has his excuses, whatever. But if I am comparing Dooshik to that, he never has that moment. He never ghosts for 3 years. This character has actually surpassed most of my gold standards because where they faltered, he did not. And I love that this is not an author who learned from the mistakes of other people. So it was released in 2020. They were releasing right as all of this big
Yeah,
wave was getting popular. And they made these choices, not copying some other author's success, but really writing this character true to who he was supposed to be. And it is so in character. He is such a golden standard. So yeah, absolutely fucking love this story. Is your delusional boyfriend from this douche?
yeah, for sure, 100%, 100%. Dooshik is he was. I have so much bullshit of Dooshik. I have my fucking pearls. I have. This is he is the perfect boyfriend. What, there's nothing that he could do that would make me feel otherwise at this point. He is perfect. He, everything he does just makes my heart ache in a way that's, I can't believe you're not real. Why is no man like
He's
you?
perfect. He's literally perfect. And this is so hard for me because throughout the story, I got mad at this author several times because I was like, I don't know, I've never been this conflicted. Juho was almost my delusional boyfriend for a big part of this because he is so firm in who he is, even in his depression. Even when he is giving up on life, he still knows who the fuck he is. And I really love that in a way that Dooshik doesn't care who he is himself. I don't give a fuck who I am. I just live. I go throughout my day, whatever. Juha has such an identity and such a rock solid core to him that when he lost his memory, it was such a shame because it's like, this is a person who holds every memory, even the saddest ones of his mother, so close to his heart. And I really loved him, but Dooshik in every way that you can be a perfect boyfriend, that massive dick, the way he does foreplay, everything about him, I was like, that is the definition. That's the whole point of this show is who are these delusional boyfriends? And then somebody came in and stole all of my attention. And every time I tried to look back at Dooshik and Juha, I was just staring straight at JL. And I was like, you, sir, you old man. And I think that's one reason I'm pissed is I fell in love with that character. Why do you have to be so likable? He could have been less likable and his relationship with his subordinate could have been less likable.
It's a
And
tease.
instead, the author, I was like,
It's a tease.
yeah, why would you ever introduce a character who is this hot and this interesting and who has this much mystery around them and like all of these random side characters? I was so ready. I literally clicked on Ignite the Dawn, being like, whoever Yuta is, he must be the Pilwan of their story. It has to be the old man and his subordinate. That's who it has to be. And I Still, I'm gonna listen back to this episode and regret saying this and be like, you dumb bitch, you dumb bitch, you know it's Dooshik. Dooshik is your man. And I still can't say it. I'm so thirsty for that old man.
I understand. And like you said, delusional boyfriend. So if you feel this way, you feel this way. What are you gonna do about it?
Sometimes it's not your fault. Sometimes fucking Mojito is your delusional boyfriend. Sometimes you love the bad guy, and sometimes you love the random old man side character who was not the point. He was never supposed to be the point, and yet every time he walked into a scene,
he always said the right thing.
My heart. And he protects Dooshik. He protects Jooha. It is my daddy issues coming out because I'm like, he's like a father.
He's got money. He's got power. He's got something else. I know he's got something, even though I haven't seen it. I'm like, he's got.
And if he's resisting his subordinate, he must be the straightest man in the world because that guy is hot. The guy he is refusing is
a big hot puppy dog. Like, come on.
So he must love the cooch, and I would like to see it play out with him and his new wife. I would.
I'd be there. I would be there. I would love to see it.
One of the few times I would be like, sure, it doesn't have to be a BL because I'd like to see that man eat.
Oh, I know he's an eater.
He's an eater. He's eaten, and I don't care if it's a full other clam factory story. I would like to see that clam get slit, and I would like to see him get some pearls out of it. I am just mad that I don't get more of him, but I'm going to be pissed at myself for not choosing Dooshik because he deserves it. But I'm sorry, Dooshik. Oh man, Jenkins, JL he's the one for me. I guess my next question is, would you date them IRL? Would you date Dooshik IRL?
Imagine being able to, you could ask him the question, if I turned into a worm, would you still love me? And he would say yes.
He would be
of course. The fuck? I would.
Compared to me, you're already a worm, and I still love.
I would turn into a worm with you. Obviously, I would feel so safe. I would feel so loved. I would feel cared for. I would feel acknowledged, appreciated. I would feel unstoppable if I had a partner like that. Like Jooha Jooha deserves it. He deserves to be this loved. He's lucky, but he fucking deserves that shit. After all the bullshit he's been through, he deserves someone as perfect as Dooshik to be the love of his life. So yes, I would.
Absolutely. And there's also something about a character just happening to be like your age. And I'm sure this coming out in 2020, Dooshik's 24. How old were you in 2020? 24?
I think so. Around there. Yeah.
If you were born in 96, then he's also not only your perfect man, he is your perfect age. You guys could die together at 101 years old on your birthdays. He is perfect. I would definitely date him IRL. Would I date the old man IRL? Yes.
Oh, hell yeah.
Definitely yes. I'm like, let me be your mop wife. I would absolutely be his mop wife. You would totally date him.
Oh, yeah, 100%. You know how he says I'm going on vacation, and he's like, I need to get bitches. I need to get them. So you can't come. It's me on my own because all the bitches run away. You're scary. You know that he pulls. I feel like he's a gentleman. He's got money, so you know he'll take you on nice dates. He's probably the kind of man that would shower you as soon as you wake up in the morning you would get a breakfast. He might be gone, but he would give you breakfast and he'd probably give you a brand new outfit you would put on and then meet him out somewhere else later throughout the day.
He's like Daddy Warbucks. I have a full staff here I hired only to serve you. There's a pool. Please do not worry yourself at all. I hope I get home and you haven't lifted a finger. The perfect fucking man. And maybe I romanticize age gap because I'm not in one, but I'm just like, oh no, I'd be fine. He would set me up with such a retirement if he dies 15 years before me. Whatever. I'll join the nunnery. I'll go back to the nunnery, bitch. You die, I'll return. I ain't worried about any. If you pass away, that was it. I would have had all the dick I needed in my life.
100%.
Good old man. Oh, I fucking love him. But how does he compare to my all-time delusional boyfriends? It's funny because obviously Dooshik blows all of them out of the water. And this old man doesn't compare to Dooshik in the amount of scenes that he's in or the ways. So I'm like, no, he doesn't. The old man doesn't get to be like my all-time delusional boyfriend. He doesn't. But if he got his own story, he would. That's my problem with it, is that if he got his own story and he was all juicy from Dangerous Convenience Store and I got to have this age gap romance and I got to see it all played out, then he probably would be everybody. I like that he gets into the porno industry and then realizes how dark these people are and tries to back out of it. He doesn't have he does have lines that he won't cross. And so I feel like that makes for a very interesting character and a very interesting man who's, I have my own code, and maybe that code doesn't apply to everybody, and some people would think that it's a bit nefarious, but it's my code and I don't break my code. I think he's very interesting. But how does Dooshik compare to all of your delusional boyfriends, including the one you picked at the beginning of the episode, which was Guwon from House of
so
Sisyphus?
I think it's similar. At this point in Pearl Boy, I feel like Guwon and Dooshik are like in a similar way where you're like, obviously Guwon's a little dumber and he does these. Guwon is still extremely mysterious to all of us. I do not understand him at his core. I don't know what the fuck is going on, but that's part of the allure. But with Dooshik, a majority of my other top favorites align similarly with him. Like I said, like he's been my benchmark. So but I end up finding myself like gravitating toward puppy dog men that are fucking dangerous and scary, which is why like Guwon enticed me so much, because that's something that I loved about Dooshik, is he's a stupid puppy who's helplessly in love, but he's a death machine. And that's, what more could you want?
At the end of Pearl Boy, he is neutralized as far as how like scary he is. And I do think that maybe is one of the reasons why I gravitate towards that old man, because he maintains his dangerous air and all of the bad boy stuff that I like about Dooshik. Dooshik settles down, becomes a wrestler with his lover. That's very tame and wholesome. Whereas I do think I gravitate towards a simp, somebody who simps for their lover, but also is scary. I like, my husband is so fluffy and sweet and wouldn't harm a fly. He literally just saved a fucking baby deer from our windowsill. It fell down a storm sill and he saved a baby fawn. I know, I just made a video about it because I named one of his deers that he takes care of Kim Dan, and now I'm like, I think I'm gonna name this one Jooha. But he literally, that's him. He's an angel. And so I'm like, no, in my fictional boyfriends, I am going to pick a fucking monster who is a murderer. 100%. Obviously, I need to like round out my roster.
I totally get that.
So I feel like Dooshik, he is still a killing machine though. If he had to, very Sakamoto days, like if he had to retirement for Jooha, he would. So I won't make you choose between them, but they would both make your varsity team. If you had 5 people who could be on the court, both of them are going to be on the court, right? Is Jake from Shutline going to make it?
I always find myself, it's so hard with Shutline because I switch between Jake and Shin on an upload basis where I'm like, I love both of them so much, so I want both of them at the same time.
And honestly, they should switch between each other more often. That is one switch couple that is just waiting to be drawn.
It's like with right before the hiatus where Jake was like, I want a fountain too, Shin, the fuck? And Shin was like, all right, then bottom. I'm like, oh, I wish he would. I wish he would. What? And then didn't happen. It never happens.
Except for he didn't bottom, but Dooshik does have a top fountain moment, and we didn't talk about it, but the inside top fountain that freaks him out, and he gets so
I love that Jooha was, then what the fuck? You always said it was normal for me that you're feeling good. And now, what does that make me, a fool? I've been doing this every time.
And I especially love with this story because it's like, it spells out squirt. It's like, I'm squirt. He literally, Jooha at one point is like, I'm squirting. And I'm like,
that was like literally the chapter before he was actively squirting on him. So it's like, he just fountained in you. And now that you do it, you're like, oh God, the horror.
And I'm like, first of all, seeing men put in that position makes me very happy because I'm just like, yeah, it's like a way crazier visually, and like the phenomena of squirting is crazy. And so to have that be discussed in a way where not only are women's experiences being discussed, but also a man is being put in a situation where it's, how would a man react to like their body betraying them in this way? And we got to see both characters experience it. Kudos to this author because they really included almost every fucking thing that I like the foreign objects and squirting and the freaky deaky, like, I don't know.
I love the mirror, the underwear, the foot. I feel like there's so much that happens, like so many little things that take off the poster.
He like comes right away from getting on the pearl necklace that Jooha gives Dooshik at the end. That's like the symbolic pearl necklace. He's like, if you accept this necklace, you accept me the rest of your life. So kinky, so freaky. I fucking I loved it. I am very happy. This absolutely has risen to one of my top stories, and I'm always like mad at myself for not reading it sooner, and also really grateful for myself that I drew it out as long as
Yeah.
I could. Because once it's done, you can never read it again for the
No, you
first
can't.
time.
And it's really meaningful to read it in one go. So I think you made a perfect decision for yourself. And I'm so happy you've
And
read it.
now I've got Jooha and Dooshik in my back pocket, and they're both little delusional boyfriends, and Jail, and I will get around to Ignite the Dawn, and I'm sure I will like Yuta too, but I need time to mourn this ship that
Valid.
has sunk.
Valid.
Ugh, but thank you so much for being here. This has
Thank
been such
you.
a fun episode for me. Last year was my first year doing the podcast, and I kept almost reaching out to you, and I was like, get better. I was like, get better at doing the podcast. So when she comes on, you have like a good listenership and you have the technology under control. And I felt so cool to be nervous and be like, she could say no, she's really busy. She's a huge creator. And then for you to be willing to come on, this has been
It was so much fun.
me. I feel like
I loved it. I would loved it so much.
it's like getting to know these creators who I already feel like I know because I'm the parasocial person in their comment section or in their lives. And then being like, oh my God, we're friends now. We're real friends. It makes me so happy. So thank you for being here. And I know that everybody listening is probably already following you. And they're probably so happy that I got you on here so they could hear a little bit more in depth.
I
of
know
your
they're
thoughts.
all
I
very
swear.
confused because I've been posting stories and they're like, why the fuck are you rereading Pearl Boy? And I was like, it's a secret. You'll find out soon. And they're all like, what the fuck, lady? I'm like, you'll find out. You'll find out.
Everybody is going to be so happy that I got you to sit down. Also, I think I do speak on behalf of everybody when I say start your own fucking BL podcast so I have something to listen to on my commutes. I cannot listen to my own voice and I need more Yaoi podcasts. So please.
Don't make me listen to myself.
I'm glad you're like, girl, I'm putting in more than full-time hours on my content already. What more do you need from me?
No, I feel like
We will milk you till you're dry like Jooha, okay? Amy, we will. And I'm not going to feel bad.
I love that he said that in that scene. It was so good. It was so good. Taking off that lingerie with his mouth.
That little black thong we didn't even touch.
Okay.
Oh, I want to go like animals in heat. There's so many memorable lines from this. I'm so happy that I finally ticked this off of my fandom's favorites list. And for everybody out there looking to follow you and see all of your Pearl Boy and D to 1,000 other BL recommendations, where can you just repeat your handles for them? Tell them where you're at. And do you have any things you're working on? Any other rereads? Any stories you want to plug of authors or artists that you like? Anything
Great question. Again, you can, my primary platform's TikTok. I do have an Instagram, but the Yaoi Girl, the YAOIGORL Girl. But when it comes to reading, a lot of my favorites, like I said, have been phasing out. But lately, there's been a lot of new news coming out with a lot of new stories that are coming up again. So I feel like right now we have A Lovely Meal, which is super fucking exciting. Obviously, we love our vampire boyfriends. We have Masterpiece is going to be coming back before too long. We have Borderline, which is very huge. That's coming back in literally a few days. Massive. And I feel like there's a lot of stories that will be coming back before the end of the year that we're really paying attention to. But I feel like I'm always talking about some shit. So,
and thank you so much for being a voice of reason and allyship in this community for the authors and the artists, and for always promoting legal reading and always promoting people spending their fucking dollar on the official site. Please read legally. Thank you so much, Amy, for being a voice for artists and authors, and for also just constantly feeding us with these recommendations and saving us the trouble of reading stories you think aren't worth your while. I think you're like a massive resource to the BL community and a total legend in my mind. So thank you for being here. Everybody go follow Amy, Yaoi Girl, Lamy, anywhere that you can find her on TikTok and Instagram. And I guess with that, until next time, remember, it was sometimes the delusion.
is the solution.
Bye.